Good evening, West Orange, and welcome to our conference meeting agenda. It is April 19th, 2016. And Madam Clerk, let's get this meeting started.
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was emailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on October 14, 2015. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board of the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on October 14, 2015. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Cirillo?
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do we have any representatives of the Essex County Surrogate Department? Seeing none. What about ADAPT, Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Team? Yes. Okay, so we have this proclamation here on behalf of the mayor. Would you like to come up, ma'am? Welcome.
Thank you.
Your name? Jacqueline Tyson. Welcome to our conference meeting agenda. We have a proclamation here from the office of Mayor Parisi. Do you want to talk a little bit about ADAPT?
Sure.
And also, I don't know if you would like to share with us details about Family Meal Week, which would be April 17th, going on right now, to the 23rd. Basically, and I will allow Ms. Tyson to speak a little bit. What it is the mayor and the organization is encouraging families to come together and have a meal and talk a little bit about substance abuse, the dangers of drug abuse. I can tell you from personal experience that in my fraternity days, what used to be, binge drinking sessions can eventually lead to issues later on in your life, and in my case, an embarrassing episode in my life. And if it weren't for the support of my family and some of my closest friends, I wouldn't have learned that how to become a more responsible individual, not only for myself, but also professionally. So I personally can attest to the strength that family and communication and professionals can bring to this issue. I'm glad that, you learn from experience and that, it didn't turn out to be a bigger problem. So I thank you for bringing this to our attention and encouraging residents and organizations in West Orange to come together as a family and talk about this topic, which is it's a big issue. Okay,
Thank you.
The floor is all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you, Council President. My name is Jacqueline Tyson, and I am the project coordinator for ADAPT, which stands for the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Team. We are based out of Family Connections in Orange, but we service all of Essex County. And this Family Meal Week actually is an initiative that was started by our partners over in Millburn. And also Verona. And the initiative is really just a time that we encourage local families to attend the participating restaurants, and we ask the participating restaurants to give discounts so that it promotes family bonding time, and we ask the families to talk about their values, about their experiences when it comes to substance abuse, and really tell their children what they believe should be the values of the family. And really, just family bonding time is considered to be a factor when it comes to decreasing substance abuse in a child. So that is called a preventive factor. So just the time together as a family, talking about what's going on in their lives is something that we hope to promote with this week, and we thank you for this time to call it Family Meal Week this week, and we are glad that we have Essex County partners around the table to participate.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And send our greetings to the Family Connections family. They do great work in Essex County. As I told you from my experiences, I did join the board. I was on the board for a little while. Bernice Manchel, a resident of West Orange, has been a longtime member of the organization, so we're very familiar with the work that Family Connection does. And thank you for coming by. And it's a real threat. Like I said, folks with substance abuse, they're not bad people. They don't lack a moral base. It's just it's a dependency issue. And thankfully we have professionals, and if we have a strong family and we encourage bonding, such as what we're doing now, we can tackle the issue at that level. So again, thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you again, Ms. Tyson, and again, send our greetings to the Family Connections staff and board members on behalf of the council and Mayor Parisi. Thank you for being here. I see our illustrious surrogate, the Honorable Theodore N. Stevens, is here to talk a little bit about the Surrogates Court, his office, his services, the initiatives that the office provides. The county surrogate is a constitutional officer, elected officer of the county of Essex. They're the probate of wills. They administer estates that come before before the county offices and administration, and also you the qualification of guardians. Correct. Guardians for minors. Yes. Yeah. Just thank you for being here, and tell us a little bit more about your office and your services.
Well, thank you, Council President Cirillo, members of council, members of the public of West Orange. Good afternoon. I don't really need to say anything. You just told my whole thing, so I'm going to go now. So, but I'm glad that my years of coming have not gone for naught, and that this council certainly is well apprised of what the surrogate does and what the surrogate's court is all about. And at the beginning of my first term, I'm at the end of my 5-year term, I can't believe it already, and that it was I was struck by how few people really knew what the surrogate's court did. And so that's why, and you're right, you have laid it out. What we do is we handle the probate of will estates, the administration of non-will estates. We also handle the very growing important functions of approving guardians, or doing that process to help the Superior Court approve guardians. And we process those applications as the deputy clerk to the Superior Court, and also handle adoptions as well. And I've mentioned to you before, adoptions, every attorney should do an adoption at least once, because it's the only time when everybody in the courtroom is happy, including the judge, and that's a rare occasion sometimes. So, but seriously, I mean, that's a joyous occasion. But even in those bringing that family together, everyone who comes through our doors is coming through at a period of anxiousness, because even with an adoption, crossing that last T and dotting that I takes some effort. So it's been a long process to get to that point. So especially with estates, of course, everybody would be very, very anxious. So that I'm happy to report that our staff does a tremendous job in terms of really just being very, very mindful of that, and treating everyone with a little TLC, in addition to a large amount of professionalism that's gone on in that court for a long, long period of time. And it is a court, and I'm the only elected judge in the state, as you indicated. All the other judges are appointed, and I was a municipal judge for a long time, and so that was no stranger. But this is a much different and actually a more rewarding process in terms of what I'm happy to be the surrogate. But in addition to what we do, I'm here with really big news. Now, one of the things we've tried to do over the years is we tried to enhance the services from the surrogates court. We made our website much more robust. In fact, anybody coming to the surrogates court, I commend you to look at our website first, which is www.essexsurrogate.com. And it gives a real head start to any business that the surrogates court is going to be about. So I really commend everybody to take a look at that before coming down. It would answer some questions, or now just give you a head start in case you have other questions that still are not answered. Then we extended the hours. About a year or two into my term, we offered extended hours on the second and the fourth Wednesday of every month. We're open an additional 2 hours, so we see people on an appointment basis up until 6:30. And that's been beneficial because everybody doesn't have to take time off of work. You can come in with an appointment, be seen at a certain time, and get the biggest benefit, perhaps, is that it's the only time you can get free parking in the city of Newark. So that's great. So the parking lot is open after 3:30. So that has been...
Unless we Uber there, right? Because now Uber is able to operate.
That's right, you do that. Well, the other thing you have to do is you got to fight the Essex County College students for a parking space. That's the only other malady with regard to that.
I'm sorry.
But now what we have is, the really big news is that we've been trying for several years to open up a satellite office in order to offer an additional level of service for especially individuals in the western part of the county who, for whatever reason, have a difficult time coming to the Hall of Records in Newark. We're happy to have people come in at any time, but it's just not convenient for everyone for whatever reason. And I'm happy to, after looking at several sites, I'm happy to report that we have selected the town of West Orange to be the site of our satellite office. Cool. And we are going to open our satellite office up at the Park and Ride at the Turtleback Zoo facility. And as of May 4th, we are going to start seeing individuals on an appointment basis. We're going to start out small, once a month, and see how it grows. But I anticipate that this is going to be big and that it will be a real service. Members of my staff have volunteered to go up there, so we're doing this without having to add necessarily any additional people that were not already in the budget. So we're really pleased. It's a great facility, and I think that it's located in the right part of the county so that it's going to be, I think, beneficial to a lot of individuals. So we are having a grand opening, and I have copies of the press release that I'd like to leave with the clerk and their staff that indicate that on the 29th of this month, which is Friday, April 29th at 12 noon, we are going to have a grand opening of our satellite office located at the Park and Ride facility up at Turtleback Zoo. And we're hoping that everybody, certainly in attendance here, and certainly all members of council, if in your schedule, we'd love to have you come and to participate in our grand opening. And I do have a copy of the press release, which I jointly released with the county executive. So again, we're very excited about this, and we think it's been a long time coming, and we're happy that it's here. So, and I'm happy also that we're doing that in West Orange, because I think that's the right town to do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great news.
So, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Any questions? I don't. All right. Well, I see you all there. Any questions, give me a call. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
We have 10 minutes for our liaison announcements. Oh, it's announcements, not reports now.
It's always been announced.
Really? Okay.
We do a lot of announcing.
No, I said it's more appropriate now.
It's supposed to be announcements.
Announcements. Okay, we'll start on this side. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
This is always.
Would you like to start?
With me, okay.
Let's go.
Sure.
You should go that
Councilwoman
way.
Castellino.
That's okay. Well, the other evening, we had our PR commission meeting, and it was very productive. We're going to set another meeting within the next couple weeks with Megan Brill, help her promote the downtown fair and the Slide the City. So we want to get a little more organized before this big endeavor. So we hope to meet with her in 2 weeks. We're trying to set a date. Part of our discussion, and I think what would be helpful, I had an idea after our meeting, and Oh, where's Mr. Sayers? At our last council meeting, we had a few residents come up, and they were asking questions about sometimes when they file a complaint, is it heard, and how they could go to the website. And we got into a very thoughtful discussion about our website and the accessibility. So I was wondering, Council President, I thought after our discussion, and I need to speak with Ms. Anderson, because she couldn't be available at the last meeting, but just brainstorming, I think it may be helpful if maybe one night in a conference agenda session, if we could maybe set up a computer with the website and just kind of walk through it. We did that at the Realtor meeting, and the Realtors really enjoyed it. They thought it was helpful and informative how to navigate the website, because I guess we take for granted, when we look at it all the time, we could assume folks could navigate it easily, so maybe we just have
It's a good idea.
a couple, 5-10 minute session in a conference agenda. So
we'll schedule
I know if you'd be supportive of that idea.
Councilwoman, that's an excellent idea. I'd ask that we maybe put it on hold. We're about to make a change.
Oh, okay.
Probably over the next 30 to 45 days of how those types of things are entered. So
Okay.
I wouldn't want to go through an exercise and tell everybody and then
Absolutely.
change it on them. So we'll keep you up to speed as to when that occurs, and then we can move from, we can schedule from
Maybe
there.
I could give you some notes from the meeting, because some of the items that came up were certain items on the website don't exactly pop out to the eye.
Okay.
And maybe that's why to
Terrific.
some folks that aren't used to the website,
Absolutely.
they don't catch it.
That's terrific.
So I'll, send you my
We like
notes and we can have a
constructive
discussion. Okay, great. But it was a very productive meeting. And, and I also attended the Friends of the Library meeting the other evening after the PR meeting, and Councilman Kukoviac was there as well, so I'm sure he'll speak to it. Great turnout. They had a very good turnout with a lot of volunteers coming, and hopefully Mr. Kuby is here. Hopefully some more folks will come out to these meetings and have more volunteers join the Friends of the Library to start fundraising. There's talks about Slide the City Day, starting maybe going to do a snack bar, working with Megan Brill on that to give me some input on how we could help them along to start raising some money. So it was a very, very good turnout, and I commend them very. I give them a lot of kudos. They did a great job getting folks to the meeting, and Marge is here. So, and Mr. Sweeney's here, so hopefully they'll be talking about it this evening. But they did a great job, and hopefully more exposure and get more folks out to your Friends meeting. And we look forward to that. And those are my reports for now.
Terrific. Thank you very much for that activity. Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes, thank you. Again, I apologize to my colleagues for being a little late today. So I just want to go through this very quickly. I wanted to thank Mr. Sayers. I had asked for the status of all the different permits for downtown redevelopment at the Edison Battery Factory, and he provided it, and that's extremely helpful. There's still a lot of pending permits, but there's a couple of existing permits. Just a quick question. There's a pre-existing permit for the footing and foundation for the garage, but I don't think that's begun yet. Is there any particular reason why that hasn't started yet?
No, they had to clean out the front part, get the water out of there, so they're waiting to do the footings in the front, and then they'll be able to do the garage, start the garage.
Okay.
But those two permits have been pre-existing since the beginning. The other ones are still under review.
Okay. At this point, you don't anticipate that that's going to slow down construction progress to get these other permits?
They told me, I think there's some time, well, originally they said the end of April, but now they're talking maybe middle of May, the end of May, to start the footings for the garage.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just wanted to join with Councilwoman Castellino to talk about what a great meeting the Friends of the Library was. And because I'm late, I don't have my notes from the meeting, so I hope Mr. Sweeney or his co-chair might be able, if they come up to public comment, talk about the regular schedule for the meetings coming up. I don't want to give out the wrong information, but we've set a regular time for the meetings. So the other news from that was that at one point in the meeting, they asked for a volunteer for the treasurer for the Friends of the Library, and I just picked that point to scratch my back, and so now I'm the official treasurer of the Friends of the Library. So I hope I will do as good a job as is expected. So thank you. That's all I need.
Had you been absent, you would have been the president.
Yeah, see?
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Council President. Of course, you know, with our Downtown Alliance, we're really planning and moving ahead and implementing for the street fair, June 4th. Mark it on your calendars. A lot of additions this year. There'll be a number of food trucks this year where you'll be able to have a great time, a great selection of foods to go through, our vendors, our flea market part. The other part is our car show, which will stretch from Park Avenue up to Babcock, up to Lakeside Drive. And this year, the organization that's going to benefit from the car show will be the Friends of the Thomas Edison National Park. So we're looking forward to a lot of participation there, a lot of turnout, and there'll be some really interesting cars are being brought. I was told I can't say what the cars are right now, but I will very shortly. And the Downtown Alliance is moving ahead with their marketing plan, their vacancy analysis for the real estate that's available and the storefronts available along the Main Street corridor. Ms. Brill and the board are putting it all together, so we should have some information for the public very, very shortly. That's all I have there, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, Councilwoman?
Thank you. I wanted to start out with an applaud to the West Orange Women's Club. Forgot the year it started, but just congratulations really goes to the West Orange Scholarship Fund, applauding the Women's Club for their contribution of $50,000 to the West Orange Scholarship Fund. Dues over many, many years accrued, I think. I'd love to have them come in so we can recognize them. It's an outstanding contribution. I have quite a few invitations. One, talking about cars. We have Cars and Cocktails coming up with the Friends of Edison at the Glenmont Garage in Llewellyn Park on Thursday, May 19th. This is to conserve the gas pump, the electric car charging station, and other artifacts that are in Edison's garage. Tickets can be purchased at www.foedison.org. They're only $35 for non-members, and members with membership to the Friends of Edison, tickets will be $50. It's from 5 to 7:30, Thursday, May 19th. Everyone's welcome. And there's another offer where after this cocktail party, Oak Barrel is providing a dinner at a reduced rate or 15% off if you want to go out for dinner. The following day, the day before, on May 18th, the West Orange Chamber of Commerce has their annual Community Awards Dinner. The Business of the Year this year for 2016 will be Regal Bank. The Educator of the Year is Christine Aker. Police Officer, Detective Edwin Diaz. Firefighters, John Gibson and Matthew Keogh. Community Award goes to Turtleback Zoo. And there will be special recognition for Green Hill, celebrating 150 years in business. Tickets can be purchased at mail@westorangechamber.com, and it's going to be held on May 18th from 6 to 9 at the Crestmont Country Club. Speaking of Green Hill, next Thursday, April 28th, at 6 o'clock at Pleasantdale Chateau, they are having their 150th anniversary gala at the Pleasantdale Chateau. Just an announcement there. The American Cancer Society has their annual Relay for Life on May 20th and 21 to 21st. You know, it's an overnight celebration of hope, progress, and answers, hopeful answers. Relay for Life raises community awareness on prevention and detection of cancer services for those currently battling the disease, while raising much-needed funds in the fight for the cure. Information is at 1-800-227-2345 or cancer.org. And another annual event is the Lions Club of West Orange. All of their proceeds go toward eye care and funding, I can't think of the name. Blind Foundation. This is the West Orange Lions Club Annual Spaghetti Dinner on Tuesday, April 26th. This is at the West Orange High School Tarnoff Cafeteria from 5:30 to 8 o'clock. Spaghetti and meatballs for $10 per person. Open to the public. What else? Couple more. I want to say thank you to the police department. I keep talking about the Sustainable Jersey. Our recertification is due in a month and a half in June, and I just really wanted to say thank you to the police department. They have submitted so much information on supporting documentation for the program. We're trying to accrue points, any type of green initiative, and the police department really has digitized so many documents that saves quite a bit on resources and manpower. And I like Michelle's idea about, again, with Sustainable Jersey, about having this website seminar on our township website, because we're still getting calls on, we're getting points for having the ordinance on trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release for the cats. So we do get points for that, because one of the categories is animals in the community, but people are still looking for information on that. It's not coming out of the health department, it's coming out of commissions. So I think a way to navigate the system would be helpful. And, oh, the plan, yeah, and of course the planning board. Our next meeting is May 4th here in council chambers. Our agenda, you'll be happy to hear, the community house is on our agenda with their recreation at for the Boys and Girls Club. The zoo has a sea turtle recovery exhibit, prairie dog exhibit, sea lion shade structures, and months ago the council approved a plan to look at an area in need of redevelopment or an area in need of rehabilitation. It's an investigative report at the Eagle Rock commercial area. This would be the quadrants at Eagle Rock and Prospect Avenue. The plan will be presented by H2M Associates May 4th. And for many, many months, we have been working on the Complete Streets policy with the Pleasant Valley Civic Association and Pedestrian Safety Commission, and the master plan amendment will be discussed at that meeting also. That's it for now.
Good stuff. That's a lot for the calendar.
I think so.
Thank you all for all your work. We did get an email from Ms. Leanne Zolino about the rock at... Yeah, of course.
Oh, great. Okay, that just happened
I was
today.
going to ask you to talk
Thank
about
you.
Arbor Day and the planting of the trees on the 22nd. Go ahead.
Thanks.
The floor is yours.
Okay, so the Open Space Commission, my colleague Joe Krakowiak is the commissioner there, and I'm the liaison for the Environmental Commission. I don't even know how many years ago, the Open Space Commission acquired acres at 577 Mount Pleasant Avenue. And at that time, the Energy Commission was morphing into the Environmental Commission, and we were awarded a grant. And because members from the Open Space Commission crossed over and became also members of the Environmental Commission, there was a plan creating an arboretum. Public meetings were scheduled, and so that plan now with the ANJAC grant, ANJAC is an acronym for Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions, the grant was used to draft a landscaping plan. So that is supposed to happen. The kickoff of that landscaping plan, again, I want to post that to the website also, will be this Friday at Arbor Day. Arbor Day, another annual celebration, will be at Roosevelt, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Plant a tree there, and then students and teachers from the Roosevelt environmental team are invited up to what we call the Rock, which is 577 Mount Pleasant Avenue, to plant 2 trees according to that landscaping plan that was approved, and the students will plant the trees up there. We're doing it as economically as possible with help with the Environmental Center across the street, bringing soil, Department of Public Works, grading the site for residents' use, community use. So Arbor Day is Friday, April 22nd. Arbor Day is really the 29th, but it's moved up because of testing going on next week. So we're having it this Friday, April 22nd at 1 o'clock at Roosevelt.
It's great
Everyone
to
is
see that
invited.
property going to be turn into something more positive. Ever since they cleared that lot out, it's
Right.
hasn't been too attractive.
We're hoping it would be because of the South Mountain Conservancy. They're clearing trails. It can be an extension
Nice.
of the Greenway Trail.
Well, thank you very much, and for
You're
that
welcome.
email too,
Thank you. Okay.
to our
Good
constituent
one.
that wanted some information as to why there was some movement
That's the activity.
next door, and that was very helpful, and I hope that addressed that question. On my end, I just want to make special mention, and I want to thank Rosary Morelli for sending me some really good stuff, good information about property tax relief programs for senior citizens. This is an issue that we talked about at our last council meeting, and she was watching the council meeting. She wasn't able to be here, and she noticed that there was a need for information about that. As I mentioned at the meeting, the state of New Jersey allows senior citizens to freeze their taxes at a certain level when the application's put in, and then they only pay that amount of money going forward. The seniors get reimbursed for any increase in property taxes after that amount. So Rosary did some research and sent me all the paperwork. I will ask maybe Ms. Anderson to put it up on the website, or maybe some links and some reference, or our clerk. Basically, the way the program works, you have to be 65 years or older, live in New Jersey for 10 years either as a renter or a homeowner in order to be eligible. The income limit is you have to make less than $70,000 a year to qualify. As you know, seniors are on a fixed income, so chances are that a good percentage of our seniors in their homes would be able to would be eligible for this program. So 65 years and $70,000 or less in income is the requirement. So we'll put that up on our social media mediums, and we'll also leave that information with our clerk. So again, Ms. Morelli, thank you for that information and for being proactive. And Madam Clerk, if there's anything else to discuss, I will close the meeting. Councilwoman
Just real
Castellino?
quick on that point,
Yeah.
if you could also pass that information along to Patty Duffy, because she
Okay.
does a lot of work with our seniors, so she has that information as well, may be helpful.
Yeah, so she sent me info on the Senior Freeze Program and a Homestead Benefit Program.
Yes.
Two different programs that can help some of the families that are on fixed income, struggling senior citizens or disabled out there. So, will do. Madam Clerk, that completes our conference meeting agenda.
Okay, this is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. A notice of this meeting was emailed to the Star Ledger and the West Orange Chronicle on October 14, 2015. A notice of this meeting was also posted on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, West Orange, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk of the Township of West Orange on October 14, 2015. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Guarino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Cirillo?
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? The council is now in their public meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're moving on to public comment. The public comment period. We have 5 minutes to address the council. There's a clock to our left. When you come up, please state your name and your address for the record. We have an eager hand up here. Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you. Eager because it's always nice to speak to people that listen, think about what they're doing as you must in your capacities. And in March, which seems years ago, but I know it wasn't that long ago, we came here to express our support for the library, the request for additional funds both to satisfy capital needs and operating needs. And we're happy to hear that you have responded, at least the mayor has responded, with the commitment to bond the certain capital repairs and improvements. First, as to the record, my name is Gerald Sweeney. I live at 24 Oak Bend, Llewellyn Park, West Orange. And sometimes you forget that because I know most of the people here. But what I wanted to speak to you about tonight, we much appreciated the money going for capital, but the library is still going to need some additional money for operations. I don't want to focus on what they need or all the details, but I do want to say this thing because we always felt that a government is going to support and help those that help themselves. What I mean by that is that the library came to you and said, we have certain financial needs. In the past, it's what you provided, at least after 2009, was strictly the minimum specified by applicable law. Before that, the township provided supplemental monies. But what we decided to do is to get additional support. And there's two key initiatives going on in the library now that I think will impact on this. It won't do it. We won't get all the money we need. All these processes take a long time. First, the West Orange Library had a foundation. That was a 501c3 organization. It was set up around 2002 to start preparing for capital needs for the library, improve the building, upgrade a whole bunch of things. With the recession, that fell apart, and this organization, the foundation, has essentially been defunct for maybe 8 years. What we've done, and I say we, meaning my firm, we did it gratis. We helped with other people to file all the documents necessary to restore that status as a 501c organization with the objective of going after money. As you know, that takes a long time. So that's the first thing. Second thing I want to speak mostly is that we went back and we said, what really helps the library is to have what they call friends. Most all libraries around here have friends with a big capital F. What that means is that people who really support, they lend their time, their energy, their money, their other things to make the library a better place and really outreach and support the library. Now, I would tell you, we've had some friends meetings we had when we asked for support from the council. Little did we know we were going to get 2 council members to actually come, volunteer, or I think as Joe described it, maybe get volunteered. I'm not sure which the proper word is on that, but anyway, they Councilwoman Castellino and Councilman Kukoviac have spent their time. They've given us a lot of ideas and support. Okay. What I want to go into is that we have a lot of activities. We're going to reach out. We're going to try to raise money, but we're going to mostly raise support so that money will be facilitated. Will help the foundation, will help the library, will help maintain the services. But as I said, that isn't going to be enough. We don't have enough time to do that to make up for the big deficit in 2016. If you have a big deficit, like everything else, if you don't fund adequately to overcome the healthcare costs and other things that are gone up, you're going to end up having less services, less materials, less books, less supplies, less hours, and less staff. And we hope to avoid that. I mean collectively, we hope to avoid that. So that's what we're working on this thing. So I really wanted to say that just, again, without getting into the real details, because we're working on it and we haven't delivered any money yet. That will all come. We're geared up. We have directors, officers, a mission statement. We have committees set up, all those things are ongoing. So, but what I did want to speak to this one thing is that how a community addresses their schools and their libraries reflects a lot on the reputation of the community. So if West Orange wants to have the reputation of the minimalist, you provide only that which the state mandates by virtue of the status of the public library. then stick with it. Don't even think about giving more money, just let it do. And I'll tell you what will happen, the library will ultimately deteriorate, and the reputation of this town will also deteriorate. So I think what you have to focus on, when you're setting your policies, your budget is a policy statement. You're stating to all the
time is
town
up.
and others what the policy is here. And I realize my time is up, but that's what I was just finished with that. I highly encourage you to consider making up some of that shortfall. We're going to try to make up some of it, so we're not going to ask you all to do it. I'm sure Dave Kuby would love you to come up with all those, but realistically, you guys have a tough time, guys and ladies and everyone here. I know, and I know you're working hard for it. I thank you for your time, I thank you for listening, and I thank you all for your help, and I hope you all become friends of the West Orange Public Library. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Sweeney. Yes, Rosary?
Rosary Morelli, Ralph Road. I want to thank you for that acknowledgement. On the information, Joanne has it posted on the township website.
Good.
But I would estimate 80% of the seniors in the town don't go on the computer, so if they can get access to the information through the clerk's office, it would be very good. And thank you, Ms. McCartney, for acknowledging the West Orange Women's Club. Mr. Council President, tonight I have a couple of issues I would like to address which might possibly exceed the 5-minute time frame. I ask your indulgence if you deem my comments to be valuable and allow me to exceed the time limit. As the very long-serving chair of the West Orange Women's Club Scholarship Committee, I actually can't even remember how many years I've been doing it. I'm sad to announce that the club is dissolving after 85 years in existence. The reason being, we're forced to do it because of the declining membership, and this is due to the aging, infirmity, and death of many of our members. However, this sad news does have happy news, as Ms. McCartney, Councilwoman McCartney, spoke about. We have remaining in our scholarship fund a significant amount of money, and Mr. Trenk was involved with this also. We're leaving this money to be used by the community. We've donated $50,000 to the scholarship fund, and we're leaving it. It's going to be used to provide scholarships in the form of an ongoing endowment to the graduates of the high school. And we've also donated over $3,000 to the library. Hopefully others will follow our lead. The second issue is the state of the township. Now, I was taught when delivering a talk, always precede the bad news with good news. So I gave you the good news. I want to communicate my disappointment and disgust with the direction our township is going. When I moved here 53 years ago from Newark, I wasn't thinking of where I wanted to spend my golden years. I was a young wife and mother and couldn't imagine I'd ever grow old. But you wake up one day and there you are. I've been happy living here, but that's all changed in the past months and weeks. And there's been one controversial issue after another. All of them center on the dissatisfaction of the citizens. It's my opinion the administration and the council are ignoring our frustrations and concerns, and that's become very obvious that our welfare and quality of life issues are being ignored. Evidence that my opinion is strongly supported are stunning and embarrassing articles in last week's Chronicle. These are similar to types of issues that one expects to read about in gossip type publications, and those in some previous Chronicle publications, more specifically, the well-researched and well-written editorial regarding the proposed construction at Gregory School. There was an obvious lack of due diligence done by the administration and the majority of the council. The entire proposal makes no sense, at least to me. The issue of the sewer fee increase, there isn't anything more I can possibly add to the impassioned speeches given by those two senior women at the last council meeting. It was very moving. It expressed the anger of all the seniors who are on fixed income, and I'm sure all the other taxpayers in the township. The issue of the library financing. You could feel where the heart of the seniors is focused when they spoke out at a packed council meeting and by the Women's Club donation. The two most vulnerable citizens in our township are affected by this issue. There are children and the senior citizens. I might add, there's a misconception that the municipality is giving the library money in the form of issuing bonds for repairs. The fact is, the township owns the building, and as a landlord, it's obligated to do the repairs. There's a combined issues of spending money foolishly. For example, selecting a more expensive grant writing firm over a less expensive one with more experience and a more impressive track record. Numerous other expenditures that aren't necessary or would like to have as opposed to what's absolutely necessary to have. And lastly, the neglect and deterioration of properties, the lack of enforcement of ordinances, which is probably caused by the lack of inspecting and citing the property owners. One needs only to ride around the township to see the decline in property maintenance. I have one other issue, but it's too much to talk about. It concerns the senior transportation to doctors and medical facilities. I've been working with Mr. Sayers on that, and we hope to continue working on it, right? Also, Dr. Lee, we're going to Dr. Lee? Yes. Okay, thank you. Oh, it's time to go now.
Yeah, good time. Thank you, Ms. Morelli. Yes, ma'am.
Susan Lunchek, 234 Eagle Rock Avenue. I was sorry to hear that there will not be a farmer's market in West Orange this year, and I hope that something can be worked out so that it can return in the near future. There are many well-informed consumers in this area who recognize the need for a strong and viable local food system in which farmers' markets play a large role. Creating relationships between consumers and farmers builds community and increases food safety. So for those who supported the West Orange market and wish to continue to support local New Jersey farmers, I want to pass along some information about some other farmers markets close by. The Montclair Farmers Market is located at the Walnut Street train station every Saturday morning from 8 to 1 or 2 o'clock. This market is unique in that it is there all year long, outdoors, even on the coldest days of winter, although the number of farmers and other vendors increases in the summer. Some of those farms offer community-supported agriculture or CSA shares, which I believe the farmer at the West Orange Market also had offered. The Roseland Market will be on Friday afternoons, 12 noon to 6, June 17th to October 28th at the corner of Roseland Avenue and Harrison Avenue. The South Orange Market will begin on June 15th on Wednesdays from 2 to 7 at the South Orange train station. And the East Hanover Market is at Lurker Park near the corner of Eagle Rock Avenue and Ridgedale Avenue on Monday afternoons from June 13th through October 24th. There are other markets, I'm sure everybody knows, but their dates do not seem to have been published yet. So until the West Orange Market returns, and I am confident that someday it will, we can continue to support local farmers at other markets in the vicinity. Now, regarding the grants consulting firm that West Orange has chosen, I don't know anything about Millennium, so I can't say anything for or against them. But at the last meeting, Ms. Silvestri gave a detailed description of the low bidder, Bruno Associates, and I just want to add something about them. Back in 1998 and 99, I worked for the Bruno Group, which was then known as, and during that time, West Orange was one of our clients, and we secured a $95,000 technology literacy grant for the Board of Ed. Now, I'm not including myself in the following statement, but I do want to say that John Bruno knows how to hire excellent grant writers. My colleagues were highly skilled and highly professional, and they were very good at working closely with the clients to fully understand their needs. So I would urge the town to give them a second look. And finally, I have to say thank you. I understand that the sound system has been fixed here in this room, and that we really appreciate that. But I just want to ask respectfully if everybody would be mindful about speaking directly into the microphone, because sometimes that doesn't happen, and when the room is really crowded, it's hard for us to hear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lutchik. Yes, Mr. Kuby.
Is this public testimony on all your issues?
Correct.
Not on ordinances on second reading. That'll be a public hearing when we get to it. When we get to tobacco, we want to speak.
Yeah, okay, all right, that's clarified. Yeah, the ordinances have a separate forum for the public.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Yes, Mr. Kuby.
Dave Kuby, West Orange Public Library Director. First of all, I want to thank the library supporters that continue to come out, and it's great to see all the turnout at the Friends meetings, and Councilwoman Castellino and Councilman Krakowiak, thank you. And I'm just here to give you an update on some things we've got coming up. Right now with the kids, we've got Check It Out Mate Chess Club for grades 2 to 8. April 21st to May 26th on Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. with chess player Eric Greenbaum. All levels are welcome, but registration is required because space is limited. So give the library a call, speak to Miss Faith or Miss Anderson, and get yourself signed up. Alien Art Invasion, West Orange Public Library STEAM program, and that is Tuesday, April 26th at 4 p.m., open to ages 8 to 12. And this April's program emphasizes the A as in art in STEAM. So they're going to be doing that program, and that is register online, in person, or by phone. And I'd just like to tell you about a great product that is through our buckles, through e-buckles, through the website, Hoopla for Kids. And this is something that you can download, and I will leave these materials here. You can just sign up by downloading the app or go to hoopladigital.com. You log in with your library card, so you have to have a library card. Borrow free digital movies, music, and more with no late fees. And also kids mode can be set up as a discovery tool to find family appropriate content. And all the instructions are available at the library. We have these materials here. So please come to the library and join us. And I don't know if Mr. Sweeney let you know, maybe the other friends will let you know, that the Friends groups are meeting on the second Thursdays of every month at 7 p.m. So the next one is
May 14th.
May 12th.
May 12th at 7 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Kuby.
Look at him, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Kerwin Yard of 7 Nelson Court. Thank the council for the opportunity to speak this evening. My wife, Tanya, and I moved to West Orange about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. We have 2 sons, Keith, 4, and Maceo, who's 3. We made the decision since having our firstborn that Tanya would become a stay-home mom. A few weeks ago, as my family was leaving the West Orange Public Library, we were given the sad news. A library staff member was handing out flyers regarding the approved budget. Funding for the library has been cut, and the staff is facing layoffs and a reduction in wages and library hours. We couldn't believe what we were reading. Visiting the West Orange Public Library is a weekly routine for us. Our boys love being there. We attend a preschool Page Turner Storytime reading class each Tuesday. After, we check out up to 50 children's books at a time. Our sons are avid readers, and they fall asleep each night with books scattered around their beds. The library has a huge collection of audiobooks to help bring stories to life. Ty and I are fans of the expanded magazine section, the DVD and the audio CD sections. Now that West Orange is a part of the Buckle system, we have access to more items that will continue to develop our son's literary, cognitive, and social skills. I have so much praise for the staff who knows us all by names. The librarians there provide a nurturing environment. Faith, Chris, Maria, Jane, and Rosemary are open to building relationships with our sons. They direct them to where the books are located, and they make suggestions for which books to take out. My son Keith has been reading since the age of 2, and that's because of the library. We were just there today. Keith went to the librarian and asked for books about the human body and Shakespeare. And Keith has also expressed thoughts regarding the budget cuts. As a matter of fact, he's given me a letter that he'd like for me to read to you, and he has his own stationery. So he says, please don't cut the library budget, Keith, 4. So I'd just like to pass that around for you. But we take this very seriously. We value education. We're doing the best we can to get our sons ready for grade school. We could not do this without the help of the West Orange Public Library. This library matters to my family. I expect my sons will continue to rely on the library's valuable resources for years to come. Please let us know if there's anything my wife and I can do to support this institution. The West Orange Public Library is there for us. We want to be there. We want to be there for the library. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, send our greetings to Keith and thank him for the correspondence on our behalf. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Marge Mingan, 30 Davy Drive. I would like to take this time to thank the council members, especially Councilman Joe Koviak and Michelle Castellino. We're very grateful that they showed up for our Friends meetings and have offered to serve in some capacity. That's going to help us a lot. I'm just so amazed at how many wonderful people have been turning out to join our Friends group. They're enthusiastic and they want to really get involved in the community, and we're very grateful for that. I also want to thank Mr. Sweeney and his firm for all the work he's put in for all the legal documentation and for his leadership, and I know he's going to carry that through. I've had several meetings with Director David Kuby, and I'm really grateful for his vision for the future, and we've had many discussions on how we can really make the library, something very special. And the library is really a cornerstone of a community. It serves all the residents, and if you look throughout anywhere in the United States, you look for a church and you look for a library, and they're always there. And I would really hate to see our library become diminished because we don't support it like we should. It's been 6 years, and the cumulative effect of not funding it to the level that we really need is going to show. I mean, you think of anything that you don't take care of, what happens to it? It becomes diminished. So I hope you can go back and look at your books and find some extra dollars to support the library for the coming year. John Marshall, the Supreme Court Justice at the time of our early founding, said, "We are judged not by how we understand our words, but how our words are understood by others." And I hope you've been understanding all our words as we come up to support the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Marge.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, Anthony?
Hi, Anthony Puglisi representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. Before you, I placed a couple flyers. You may have gotten them in the mail, but I just want to make sure you get them. And Everything that I say tonight is on our website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org. First, on May 7th is our Household Hazardous Waste Recycling Day in Cedar Grove. That's from 8:30 to 4 p.m. Then on May 21st is Computer and Electronics Recycling, also in Cedar Grove on Fairview Avenue. And then we have a couple new, I'll say, recycling events or collection events. The first is April 30th, which is Drug Take-Back Day. The flyer in front of you has the sites that are permanent throughout the year. I believe West Orange is having a temporary collection site on April 30th. And for residents who have unused prescription or over-the-counter medications in their house, this is a great opportunity to rid your house of this. We're doing this project in association with ADAPT. They had a rep here earlier. So we just encourage everyone to check their medicine cabinets and discard anything that's not being used or old, out of date. Then on June 18th is a used tire recycling day at our Public Works facility on West Bradford Avenue in Cedar Grove. And then just two other events that I've been talking to you about the last couple weeks. April 24th, which is this Sunday, is our Cherry Blossom Bloom Fest in Branchwood Park. And then on also on April 30th at the Environmental Center is the Earth Day celebration. That's from 11 to 4. And thank you for the cue. We also have a job fair on May 21st. Which is at Essex County College. We encourage everyone to, if you are looking for a job, all the vendors that we have signed up for that day have jobs available. So it's not like you're giving your resume into a black hole. These vendors are guaranteed to have jobs for people, so bring plenty of resumes. And like I said, all this information is on our website, which is EssexCountyNJ.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Anyone else? Seeing none, any of my colleagues wish to address the members of the public?
Yes.
You like to start?
Absolutely.
Yes, Councilman.
Thank you.
Guarino?
Thank you, Council President. Thank you to my colleagues. To the library members. Okay. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your support. But I'm taken aback when, don't feel that the entire council doesn't support the library. We do. Okay? And we will be there for you. Okay? I'm sorry I didn't make the meeting, but it wasn't posted. It's got to be on more than social media. So, but now that you told us, I'll make sure. I'm very fond of the library. My kids grew up in that library. It's very important. I know a lot of the workers who we've all grown old together at the library, but we're there for you. We don't want to diminish our services. We don't. So please don't feel that we don't care about you, because we do. And you'll see we'll bring a lot of support to you. And as we get more involved, we'll do more and more. But you have a friend here. We're not against you. Believe me, we're not. The library is for the seniors, for people who are out of work, who need a reference library. It's very, very important. Everybody doesn't have access to the internet. Kids love going to the library. I have the fondest memories growing up in the city of Newark, where my father took me and my mother took me to the Newark Public Library, and I spent hours there. And my fondest memories, that's how I decided what I wanted to be. I don't know if I should thank them or not, but but that's it. But thank you. And, the town is well-deserved. We appreciate it. And we appreciate Keith's letter, too. We like those letters from children and everything else. We do. And that shows what's important. Ms. Morelli, thank you for your dedication to the community, to the Women's Club, your donation, which will go a long way to the scholarship fund for our high school students, and your donation to the library. You've done a lot for the community, and the seniors should be very happy they have an advocate like yourself. I enjoy serving on the Rent-A-House board with you. I've learned a lot from you about it, and there's more that we can do. And we need to make sure that on the website that we do put the tax incentives. We need to show that, put out there. And when people use Facebook, you should put it out there too. I mean, everybody doesn't read the township website. Let's be honest about that. The The farmers market, yeah, it's a kind of a sad thing, Ms. Lechik. The Downtown Alliance ran it for many, many years. We've moved it around to try to find the right location, the right mix. We thought we had the right mix at Eagle Rock and Mississippi Avenue and Main Street. We lost a bunch of farmers who didn't want to come back. It wasn't for the traffic. They just wanted to go other places that were not going to spread themselves out so thin, because we have the same farmer who does South Orange and does us and does Montclair. We're trying to find another organization in town, another group of people who would like to run it, and we'll be able to support it. It's very important, but a lot of farmers markets today are doing not only farmer markets at farmers, they're actually doing food trucks. I mean, that's Roseland's thing. Their claim to fame is they have food trucks. And maybe it's something we need to look at. Maybe it's something we need to look in our format and our presentation. But, I'm really disappointed that we're not going to have a farmer's market. A community needs a farmer's market. And just to speak about that, too, is the grant that we just received through WOWW is our wellness program for seniors and for youth, is to build community gardens. And our first major garden will be at the Edison Middle School. They're actually meeting tonight. We weren't able to be there because we had a council meeting, but the grant that we got from Partners in Health and from the state will build and fund the numerous community gardens throughout the township where seniors can go and grow, and also the students can grow, and we'll possibly sell that food with eventually our new farmers market. What was I going to say? Mr. Kuby, thank you. Mr. Gross, had any more review of the library finances and all that, their audits and?
Yeah, actually, I sent something out to the council this afternoon, so.
Okay. Thank you very much. Other than that, I'd just like to say to all the people, thank you for coming tonight. It's good to see people come and voice their opinions, because that's how we know. We want to know how you really feel. The pulse is not just sitting here and we walk around the community, but we need you to come out and let us know how you feel. You can be angry at us. Remember, we're still friends. Just because you may disagree with us, we're still your friend. And that's why we're here. And we're here for quality of life issues. I'm a big proponent of quality of life issues. And of course, the library is a quality of life issue, things that we've championed. And again, I hate to say it again, but thank you for being here tonight. And please always feel free to speak your mind. We need to know. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Who would like, Sue?
Not much left to add. Comments of the library, it is such a sensitive issue. I don't know, I really don't know what to say about the library. I didn't get a chance to look at the analysis that came out this afternoon. I will. Appreciate,
bless you.
God bless you, it's true that I will. A lot of this time, and thank Rosary, Ms. Morelli, for the Women's Club. The current president of the Women's Club has been a family friend for my entire life. I married her son when we were 8 years old on my driveway. So it was an amazing contribution for the ongoing endowment. I don't want to sneeze at the fact that when Dave Kuby from the library did give us the 5-year plan, it is $1.575 million that the council unanimously did agree to fund. I haven't seen that over the years, all the capital improvements. I know that the library does have their own budget, but the council did agree to pick up that tab. That's somewhat significant. I keep talking about Sustainable Jersey and about the police department. I happened to coincidentally meet with our new grant writer, and there's so much going on with farmers markets, with land use, and Sustainable Jersey. So I appreciate the comments Ms. Lensick made about the other municipalities and their farmers market. It's not working this year, as Councilman Guarino alluded to. But the fact that it was held in a park in East Hanover, that is something that we could look at also. The whole idea was that it was to bring people on Main Street. We can do that. We have the town pool, we have Colgate Park, so there are other locations, even Lafayette. So there are other locations that we can possibly look at to bring that back, and hopefully the grant writer can work on that. And Turns out his wife is a librarian, a children's librarian. Our new grant writer, or one of the part of the team, is so we definitely had library on the top of the list to look at grants for different programming. And I appreciate, March, the comments that you made about Dave, because Dave believes in Plato's theory about making the library that community center, and we already know that he's moving in that direction. So I see that he left, but I did want to ask him about the Pringles project. I don't know enough about it, but I know it was another one of those STEM projects that he's doing with, they're doing with students about packaging Pringles. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilman Kukoviac?
Trying to build suspense here.
Build suspense.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who came and spoke out on behalf of the library, and I appreciate Mr. Cubey rescuing me from not knowing when the regular meetings of the Friends of the Library are. And it looks like we may have our first customer for Friends of the Library. One of the fundraising ideas we had was to charge an annual membership fee, very modest, and I hope somebody gets not only yours but also your two sons' memberships, and maybe we could use them as poster children for future advertising campaigns. But all kidding aside, I think it's great that we recognize that the administration and the council have agreed to certain steps to help support the library. Some of them, as Ms. Morelli pointed out, we're obligated to do, and others we're not. And I don't think we should ignore that. And we are doing things to help the library. And I am continuing to work to find funding for the library. They have a deficit in their operating budget this year. And again, I just want to try to address something that was said about the budget has been cut. That is not something that the council or the administration has done. What we have agreed to do was to fund the library at the state mandated minimum. And the cut comes from what the library says is their minimal operating budget this year to avoid cuts in employees, cuts in programming, cuts in hours. So we're still a little bit apart from the two sides. So the budget hasn't actually been cut. It's been, we have not funded what has been described by the library as their minimum operating budget to prevent additional cuts. And these cuts have come, as Ms. Minion was saying, over the last 6 or 7 years when we've just been funding at the minimum, and that minimum has gone down because the value of the town's property, which is the basis for funding the library, has gone down. But I'm certainly looking forward to continuing the town budget process and looking forward to a substantive discussion at a future council meeting about the library. We have a $73 million budget. It's a budget with substantial surpluses built in each year, including this year. It may not be as substantial as previous years. And I'm confident that we have the funding. And the question is, what are the council's priorities? And to me, this funding the library's operating budget is a priority and is even of a crisis dimension. And I think this would be an excellent opportunity for us to realize the truism that where there's a will, there's a way. And so I don't want people to be discouraged, and again, welcome people coming to the council meetings to suggest ways to make our township more efficient in the way we use the money. I want to thank Ms. Morelli for coming and speaking, and I just want you to know I share some of your concerns as well. I want to thank you and the Women's Club for your generous donation to both the High School Scholarship Fund and the library. And it's a great ending testament to a long legacy of community that the Women's Club has provided, and I'm sorry to see it go. Ms. Lenchek, thanks very much for coming up and speaking about the farmers market and also about Mr. Bruno's firm. I just want to ask the question, am I speaking directly into the microphone? But that's a good reminder because sometimes we don't. And that's all, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Castellino?
Okay. I'm happy that the administration has been working with Mr. Kuby in regards to looking at their budget, and hopefully, Mr. Gross, you could help him along with maybe recalculating or whatever advice you can give him. I'm a realist. We sat here last month on a Saturday for many, many hours, and many hours, and which is fine. That's our job, and that was our task at hand. And we went through line by line by line in our budget, and all 5 of us agreed with each department head and went forward with the preliminary budget at that point in time, dug in every corner, looked in every crevice. So unless the administration will be presenting something else to us come our next hearing, stream of revenue that maybe they haven't shared with us yet, it's going to be tough. But the 5 of us sat here all day with the administration, each director and department head, and we're trying to figure out where we could move different line items and whatnot. And at that point in time, we all had agreed we're kind of stuck where we were at. Needless to say, with supporting the bond, very glad to hear that you were able to squeeze $50,000 out of budgeted items that you have now, so your target is a little closer to where you needed to be. And again, not to belabor the point, but hopefully administration keep working with Mr. Kuby. On a lighter note, it was a delight to work with all of you the other evening, and fundraising I signed up for. That's one of my specialties, something I enjoy, salesperson by trade, and I look forward to working with all the lovely folks that I met the other night. And I think we'll do great things, all of us, and everybody will pitch in. And also, on a lighter note, glad to hear about the chess club, because chess is great to see. It's a popular game that's coming back at West Orange High School the past few years. We've had a chess club, and the kids really take to it, and it's great because they're not on these, and they're actually using their minds and working out problem solving, which is great. So glad to hear. And those are the kind of programs that we value and we want to keep at the library for our students and for our seniors. Rosary, thank you for coming down and for sharing with us, especially about how our seniors can freeze their taxes. And again, we'll pass along the information to Patty Duffy, who works with all of you and does a great job on so many events. And I'm glad the administration is working out the senior transportation, because that is important. And thank you to the Women's Club being a part of the West Orange Scholarship Foundation. We really appreciate it. And for the students for so many years that have applied to the Women's Club and have supported our students at the high school, thank you very much. And it is sad to see it break away, but to go out with such a great task is monumental, so thank you. I know, Ms. Brill, we talked, I know Councilman Guarino talked about the farmer's market, and I know she is looking at something for next year. And let's see, hopefully we'll have a new Friends member come to the library. And I just want to touch base on some of the decisions we made. Someone mentioned the grant consultant. And when we went to approve that at the last meeting, we ask questions to administration. We just don't make decisions in a vacuum. So what we may not be asking tonight, we make phone calls and we do our due diligence, and we Google and we look up companies. And especially myself, who sat as a school board member for many years, had the option of calling colleagues from other districts to call up and asked about both companies. So a decision I made to support the that particular grant writer was made on due diligence, not just on a whim. So we do things for different reasons. I found one of the hardest part of being a public servant is sometimes you may not be able to share all the information on the public microphone, and that's okay because that's what we're here for. But we do our due diligence and we do make phone calls, and we do have a reason why we make decisions. They're not just made in a vacuum. So, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The street fair is June 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th, don't forget that date. Saturday, June 4th, we have the Downtown Street Fair here in West Orange. We are expecting a big crowd. Slide the City.
I'm sorry.
Slide the City. And I'm glad that we mentioned that the library will be having a fundraising initiative on that day to capitalize on that large contingency of visitors in one place. So I'm looking forward to that. There's more information on our website. Jerry, Mr. Sweeney, I do want to let you know that, and I got your email yesterday about getting an update on some of the policy issues that are going on. And hopefully one of the questions was answered. It's a work in progress. The budget has not been finalized. We haven't approved the budget. This library issue is a work in progress. I do want to let you know that the last 3 officers of the Friends of the West Orange Library were Sheila Ottner, Sherry Purpis, and myself. I happen to have some documents at home still. There may be a bank account somewhere with some funds left. Okay, so I need to talk to you, okay? Because we utilize a third party. There was a significant amount of money in that account. I don't know what happened. I believe after the group disbanded, that money may be sitting somewhere. So we are going, I have to talk to you about that. Either Sheila has some documents, or I know I have some at home. I was looking through my records. That may allow us to look into that, and I don't know if you need the 501c3 and all those letters from that era that you referenced. So we'll be talking. And the other item I want to mention is the capital investment that we're making. $1.5 million is the request right now. We're working on that. And that's not something to sneeze at. That's a significant investment that the township will be making to our public library in our institution. Think about that. Someone talked about, image. We spoke about how the support of the library has diminished. Well, we want to show not only the visitors but our residents that's actually not true, that we will be investing on those capital improvements. While it is our responsibility as a municipal, being that it's a municipal building, it took your lobbying, okay, and your constant letters, correspondence, your notifications, for us and for the administration to make the commitment. And we've been talking about that for years, and I'm happy to see that, that the administration is now working together with the public library on addressing some of these funding shortfalls. We looked at some numbers. This year we're going to get an additional $67,000. While there's not a lot of money into the Treasury, and that's as a result of increased property values in our town. Last year, as Mr. Gross can attest, there was an allocation of $78,000 for health benefit coverage that the township covered. So we're being fiscally tight, fiscally responsible in some ways, but at the end of the day, the municipality's here, and we're going to make sure that the institution does not suffer and no one feels like that the attention that it deserves is diminished in any way. And Rosary Morelli and the Women's Club showed a full commitment to the township. I mean, while it's sad to see the Women's Club, after 85 years, go defunct, it's really nice to see that your assets will go towards that generous contribution will go towards a really nice initiative, which is the library and the scholarship endowment. So thank you for that. So I just want to mention or highlight those 3 key items, and let's keep working on the library. I have an idea too, so we'll talk
I got an idea.
on a fundraising initiative. So thank you again, and thank you all, my colleagues, for all the Gregory issue. Councilwoman Castellino has been so proactive. We see the emails back and forth with our residents. We have a follow-up meeting coming up. I know the professionals are working on drafts, design, and that input that was given at the first meeting is being taken into account. I know that you've been instrumental in changing some of that initial drawing.
Thank you, Council President. I didn't mention it this evening because I asked Mr. Sayers before the meeting if there was an update, and there isn't one, so he didn't have an update
Councilman
from me yet.
Kukoviac has been proactive. He's been there. Councilman Guarino, and of course, Councilwoman McCartney as well.
If I may
on that
say one
issue.
thing, Council President, I don't want to prolong it. That,
Yeah.
just let everybody know that the final action plan for the complete streets will be presented sometime before the end of the month, which will then be incorporated into the master plan. So Rutgers University is completing it. It's going to be presented, and it will be on the website, the final action plan for our complete streets. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. That concludes, Madam Clerk, our public comment period. We're going to move on to our agenda.
Okay. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, April 5th, public and executive session minutes.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. Bills. Are there any questions on the bills?
Consent.
Resolutions. Are any resolutions being called this evening?
Not me.
Yeah, Madam Clerk, just for the public's benefit and for my colleagues, as a point of information, if we can have some synopsis on 10316, maybe Mr. Gross can enlighten
I was
us
gonna ask that.
a little bit on I don't know if it's legal-esque or the financial language that's written in, but for the common person.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Basically, this is a resolution that authorizes us to move forward and sell bonds to replace bond anticipation notes that we have sold in the past. They're statutorily required, a bond anticipation note can last no longer than 10 years and a number of months. Some of this is approaching that, some is not, but we believe that this is the time for us, at least for this year, for this tranche. We'll probably look to do another bond issue in 2017 as well. Right now, we're in a uniquely low period of rates right now. The success of another issue is no guarantee of success on our part, but recently we're aware of a 15-year bond sale for a municipality similar to us that came in at 2.08%, which is probably certainly a historic low. It's more about the historic average for a bond anticipation note, which is a short-term instrument. So there's no guarantee we're going to get that. We're going to be about a 12-year length, and that was a 15-year length, and the big savings is in the out years. So we probably won't get that. But the bottom line is, this is a time to lock up the
Historic
these historic lows, in our opinion. So.
Any additional questions on 10316? Councilman Kukoviac?
Yes, thank you. Just to clarify, this is asking council approval to aggregate and sell $17.4 million in bonds. So I just want to say I think it's a good idea that we do this. You know, I've been talking about this a lot. Just a quick question. Are you looking to go as low as 12 to 15 years if possible? Is that what you were saying? I know you mentioned a 15-year issue recently, but
depending on the issue, there's different classifications within the issue. For the bonds that we're paying off, our general obligation bonds, we're looking at it. They compute out to 12. It's not something that we don't pick the date. It's based on the useful life. It's a calculation based on the mix of the ordinances that we're funding. We're also doing an assessment, about $3.6 million for the Llewellyn Park assessment, and that's at a 15-year amortization.
Might that be part of this?
It is part of the 17th.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, okay.
It's the last one.
Okay. Just one more quick question. I know we've been talking about bond anticipation notes, which are notes of 1 year or less, and we have to roll them over. We can only roll them over for 10 years, my
10 years and
understanding is.
change, actually.
Okay. So the ordinance, or I can't remember whether the resolution or your comments back to me, it was. It says these bonds are to fund authorizations that were spent over the last 14 years. So I'm just wondering, is that a violation of the 10-year
Oh, no, we
rollover?
didn't, you know, so it's like, there are
So it's-
bonds in there
okay.
that were issued
Okay.
in 2002,
Okay.
but we didn't issue bond anticipation notes till, later on. So we're
Okay.
not in violation now, the answer is
Okay.
no.
Thank you. That's all I need. Thank you.
And there's no truth to the rumor that we may lose you to Atlantic City to try to save the financing.
That's a
right?
pretty solid rumor that I can quash right now.
Well, I'm glad, because you're proactive and, you have a vision, a long-term vision that absolutely helps us out.
Tough to do a job without a bond rating, so.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a tough situation. So, you know what, there's an example, as an aside of, why sometimes in a difficult economy, we need to tighten up our belts because it has long-term implications. We may see long-term negative implications as a municipality. Yes, Council?
I just want to follow up on this, because maybe you could just talk a little bit for the council's benefit about what the impact on the budget is going to be, because I think there's some good news for us this year in the budget by doing this, but I just want to run it past you.
For this year's budget, because we're rolling over to long-term notes, there's no requirement for pay down. So we've saved probably about $500,000 or $600,000 in the introduced budget in this year. Next year, the bad news is we have to pay these new bonds, so these will go into next year's budget. That's bad. The more good news, though, we have bonds expiring this year and next year. So from a cash flow perspective, this is also really the best time to do this, because it's going to we're not going to see like a spike and a drop. Our debt service will remain pretty constant.
So but next year we'll be paying the bonds, but we won't be paying the bands that were
We
replaced.
won't be paying the bands, and there's other bonds that are we're paying off this year that we'll have to pay next year. So it's kind of it dovetails together.
Okay.
That's the reason we're doing two issues, one this year and one next year, because we have bonds that fall off next year as well. So to keep the cash flow even, so that we don't, if we did them all this year, taxpayers would see a big spike next year. By doing it this way, we're keeping the debt service even.
Okay. Thank you.
Relatively even.
Thank you.
And thank you for your due diligence. There's 27 of them here, so thank you. I know it wasn't easy to put together.
So are any resolutions being pulled this evening? No?
Councilman?
I don't need to pull anything, but I did want to just ask some questions about Agenda Item H, Resolution 105-16, the resolution authorizing foreclosure under the NREM Tax Foreclosure Act of 1948, as amended and establishing the tax foreclosure list of liens to be foreclosed on a couple of properties owned by Selecto Flash on Central Avenue. I guess
Mr. President, I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay, just could maybe in layman's terms talk about what this is going to do, because when you hear the word foreclosure, you think somebody's going to take the property, but that's not what we're doing here. It's actually has to do with the tax liens that were previously sold, if I understand.
The township is owed over $540,000 in real estate taxes on these two sites. These two sites are contiguous. They're contiguous to the Harvard Press site. Harvard Press is the subject of a redevelopment plan that's been approved by the planning board and this council. So the bottom line is Selective Flash has been basically vacant. It's gone through several bankruptcies, and the goal here is to move forward. Councilwoman McCartney and Mayor Parisi have, over months and years, been at the forefront. So the short answer is this is the first step in a statutory process to either get paid our taxes or to combine it possibly as part of a redevelopment area that'll be presented to you and the planning board separately, and to move forward. The property, as anybody who's been there knows, has been fallow, vacant. Those are polite terms. Other people may have much more accurate terms for a number of years. So this is our goal, to try to rejuvenate it. We had a significant meeting yesterday with the mayor and a lot of the stakeholders. That was a follow-up. There's a follow-up meeting on Thursday with, this is a Superfund site, so obviously we're going to move carefully because there are environmental issues. But if we do not begin this site, we have no chance to get it back on the tax rolls. When I say if we do not begin this process, we have no process to get it back on the tax rolls one way or the other. There is a secured creditor, Valley National Bank. I've spoken to their vice president in charge of this property. They have no intention of foreclosing. They have no intention of paying our real estate taxes. So this is just a step that we're allowed to do statutorily to try to either get our taxes paid or foreclose on the property and take control of the site.
So we've sold tax, if I could, that's good, great
We
explanation.
bought them to ourselves. No one would buy it.
Oh, no one would buy them? Okay.
We hold
Okay.
it. Nobody would buy it.
Okay. So what we are authorizing today is to move forward with the potential to foreclose on the property and to acquire it as owned by the town.
Yes.
Now, when we do that, do we also acquire any of the potential environmental remediation?
That's a process
concerns?
that we will be navigating. One of the things, and again, as all of you probably know, we were involved in a process like this at 549 Valley, which is now a police substation. There are dollars available that we as a municipality will qualify with the state and federal that a private owner can't qualify for. So the real issue is to bring all the stakeholders together. Again, the DEP and the EPA are very knowledgeable about this site and the surrounding sites. And as all of you should know, the Alpert Group, which is the designated redeveloper on the adjacent site, is going to start, they say, by September, and we met with them yesterday and reconfirmed it, on the Orange side. They are not ready to go for it on the West Orange site. But them moving forward on the Orange site, which as you all know is directly contiguous with the Highlands station, is a very positive step. There's been some transitions in Orange with their planning department, but again, we're hoping to learn more and to continue to work with them as the process moves forward. So we are not committed and required to take title, but we do have to start this step in order to assert control over it. We do not end up in the chain of title until and when, and that'll be a minimum of 6 months to a year or whatnot, till we ever get to that point. But we do have to put everybody on notice and begin this process. We will begin this process tomorrow.
If I could just finish my line of questioning. and we can- Okay, thank you. Again, I want to come back to the issue of our potential liability for environmental remediation. It's well known as a Superfund site, those are not minor things, those are major issues for remediation. What is our legal exposure as we move forward on this to...
Not until and unless we actually take title, which we're nowhere near, and then at that point, between now and then, we will know exactly what the availability of dollars is and what the nature of the cleanup is. From what we're told at this point is possible. Again, I'm not an environmental consultant, but we've obviously looked at the reports and we've weighed in with Mr. Alpert, who owns the adjacent site, and then there's another site on the other side called the Biddleman site. And again, from what they've done lots of testing and whatnot, it's groundwater issues and it could be capped. One of the issues that the mayor is very sensitive to is the need for parking in this area. And that need will only grow if there can be more access to the train and obviously to support Luna Theater and other uses that are thriving in that area, including some of the new restaurants and whatnot. So again, this is a very initial step. We will have lots of other steps in this process. The process probably takes a minimum of 6 months, more likely probably 12 to 18 months. And in that time frame, we will learn a lot more. But doing nothing is not an option. You're owed $540,000 right now, and you're going to be owed more money for the rest of the duration. And there is no impetus to get something done at this site unless, again, the Alpert Group, as Councilwoman McCartney will confirm, they were excited to see a more thorough or aggregated plan be discussed. Because as you know, from Krausers all the way down to, is it Jefferson? Pretty sure it's Jefferson.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on. I mean,
Desolation,
You know,
yes.
I walked that site
On that side of
myself.
Central,
You
yes.
see some guys who are parking trucks on Biddleman. I don't know if that's even what nature that is. We're investigating that. But all I can tell you is there's nothing going on. Zero. And that's why seeing Alpert, and he's got a lot going on. He's been working on it 8 to 10 years. He's still committed, but getting an integrated type of process where we can, quote, control as much as possible will be the eventual mechanism. And that's where the redevelopment laws can work for a positive. As you correctly state, nobody is interested in foreclosing. That's not a process that anybody takes lightly. In this case, everybody wants us to foreclose because they say you'll get money and then you'll be the spark plug. But we're a long way from that. This is just the very initial step. That's long overdue. We bought these certificates in 2012, and we've been hoping that between Valley National and Selective Flash and all the other private people that there would be, you know, an impetus for them to get it going. But they have not got the stamina, the willpower, or the resources that they're willing to do it. But it's still our town, and it's still our water, and we should do everything we can, at least that's the commitment of the administration, to try to marshal the resources to create a neighborhood. It's very simple, to create a neighborhood. That's what we need, and it's a great area with great road networks. We all know that's the way we used to all go to Newark and whatnot. It has tremendous potential, but it needs a lot of work, and there are challenges.
So when would be the next time that you would potentially come to the council for approval of an action related to this site after tonight?
Well, we're going to have monthly meetings. So the short answer is I can't tell you exactly because it'll depend when and if someone comes to us or we can develop it. But I have no problem. We're going to meet monthly with the stakeholders going forward, and I have no problem through Mr. Kaiser or Mr. Sayers reporting back as to any progress or as to just status. Because again, Mr. Alpert was excited because, again, the more he can do on his site, you know, possibly the more we can integrate it. So the short answer is we're committed to staying focused on this month by month because it's been too long.
Well, for sure. I'm sure Mr. Albert would appreciate either an improvement in the neighborhood helping his project, but also if we bundle up these properties, he might even be interested in expanding his redevelopment.
No,
but is that...
He's not. No, okay. He's not at this point. He can't even get the West Orange side of his site financed.
Right.
So he is, in all honesty, again, I don't want to speak for, he's committed to this corridor, as he should be. It's still our town. And so the short answer is, if we could get it, you know, the one thing I think we've all learned over all the years is it's tough to get financing, and we need to find a redeveloper who has ready access to funds. This is not going to be an easy bankable project with environmental and other issues. So that's why, in all honesty, we're going to start the process, recommend that you refer to the planning board, recommend we come up with some ideas, but in the meantime, try to get people who have successfully developed environmentally challenged properties to give us their ideas. So obviously, we all know mixed use brings a neighborhood. Obviously, the mayor feels strongly parking should be an essential component. But again, if you take parking away, then you may affect the ability to do any kind of residential. But again, you know, we're a blank slate. Other than what we already know is that it's fallow land that needs to be redeveloped. Someone recently bought the tax sale certificate on the Biddleman site, paid about $133,000 to buy those liens. He obviously didn't realize the environmental issue, and he's looking to sell or flip or do something with it. Again, we're hoping that he has some financial incentive to do something, but I think, as we all know, the financial incentive is for private people is always to make money. But so the short answer is, all we can do is keep running down the road, but I have no problem with transparency. We have no problem with opening through the public or whatnot. Anybody who wants to come forward to make ideas.
Okay, well, that would be good. If maybe in the coming months that the council can get an update. I was just wanted to be sure that we weren't going to be moving ahead any further than just approving the foreclosure of the liens without the council knowing about it.
Yep.
Would that be something that, for us to acquire that property, it would come before the council before we would do that?
Again, I'll be giving you monthly reports.
Yeah.
We're nowhere near
Just
that.
started.
So the short answer is, the mayor has been very, very clear that we're not acquiring a Superfund site without full understanding as to how it would be addressed. So we are nowhere near acquiring a Superfund site, but we are beginning the process. And in all honesty, if we begin the process and it causes Valley National Bank or the people owner or whatnot to pay the taxes, well, we just got $540,000 into our coffers. But they're not going to do it unless they have some way out. Or, you know, so, and again, if Mr. Alpert becomes interested or involved, or he starts to get a shovel out of the ground on the orange side, that can only help us.
Okay. So just to be clear, because maybe
I think we
all the
were
works.
clear. I'll keep you posted every step of the
Right.
way.
But-
Okay?
but
And
we
I'm
would-
available 24/7. Okay, so you can call me anytime, day or night, and I'll be glad to. It's my obligation. You'll get it.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, we would not acquire after tonight's step that the council is approving, we as a township would not acquire the property without it coming before the council
We'll
again.
bring it
Is
to the
that-
council. Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate all
Councilman
your help.
McCartney had a
Oh,
question.
Right. I just wanted to confirm, Richard said, and that, just to thank him really for being driving force behind this. This has been going on, Council President, as you know, since we served on the Valley Neighborhood Preservation Commission. There are a lot of moving parts. When you mentioned Joe Alpert with the Harvard Press, that is an approved plan already. So yes, the Orange side is moving forward with it. That also has a parking deck with 30 sites, 30 spaces right near the Highland Avenue train station. And as you know, Orange was already awarded $600,000. So they're trying to make a more comprehensive plan for the Highland stations, just as we talked about the Friends of Libraries. They're friends of the Highland Avenue station. So there are a lot of support for this area. We also have a $5 million brownfield fund. Hopefully we can replenish that because of the environmental issues here. Not really looking for residential, but the environmental issues can be capped. And as the mayor is being a proponent for parking, which would really serve that area for a lot of investment that is going along Valley Road, restaurants, businesses, and of course the stage, and the Arts Council. I just wanted to say thank you for being a driving force.
Yes. I don't know who was first.
That's okay. Councilman could go
Whatever.
first.
Councilman Green?
So, and Councilwoman McCartney answered my question, it is a brownfield, situation, because I just want to make sure that would come into play. But also, Mr. Trank, if we did nothing and nobody did anything, the town still would have a liability, I'm sure.
Well, the problem is, we have a blighted area that may or may not breed what that means.
Right.
So the short answer, and you certainly haven't remediated whatever the issue is. So you basically have an abandoned property.
Right.
And I don't know what good that is for a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right.
And, arguably that water affects whoever is in that area.
Right, but I'm saying-
About Harvard, what's so exciting about Harvard, they're going to reopen the stream, the culvert, they're going to take down that structure,
Nice.
that garage. Is as Councilwoman McCartney says, has 30 dedicated spaces to us, but I think it's a total of about
160.
160 spaces total. So think about what's a first-class garage like you see in like we're going to have down the street here. They have in Montclair. Then it makes it more attractive to park and ride and all the other things that make communities more attractive for people who work in the city or other places east of here.
And that's in the Art Deco building that
Yes.
is on the corner of Central
Right.
and South.
No, but I'm saying too, Mr. Trank, is that the fact is, you can't just walk away. I mean, the town has to take a responsibility because it'll come back to us anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
I just have a quick question. I know you're continuing your due diligence. The lien here, you haven't even ordered a full title report that
Yes, we have.
Oh, you have, so you do know if there's any other existing liens.
Yeah, we're going to wipe them all out.
Very
Valley
good.
National Bank is the only other lien.
That's it.
And we talked to them, because we'd rather see them take the lead, put a Valley National. I mean, again, they're a great bank,
Good.
but they're not.
Yeah.
They're not in the business of acquiring, challenging properties.
Very good.
So
Okay.
they're basically walking away from the obligation.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's start with ordinances on second and final reading. 248116, please.
2481-16, an ordinance amending Chapter 12 to include Section 11 with regard to e-cigarette licensing. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final reading?
So moved.
Second?
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
I apologize. This is,
We skipped ahead to 2481-16, yes.
so we're going to 281 first?
2481-16, yes,
Okay.
and then we'll go back to the other two.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't clear on that. I'm voting no.
Okay. Councilwoman McCartney? Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to do the public hearing on 2480-16?
Correct. 81-16.
81 first.
Okay. Could we combine and do the two tobacco-related ordinances at once? Won't do that? Okay. So we're talking about, why did we skip tobacco 21?
I was told 2481-16.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Ms. Gross, again, a lot of the testimony is going to deal with both. So I'm going to put the testimony, Council President, if it's okay with you,
absolutely.
I'm going to put it in on 2481-16. I'm sure everyone has elsewhere, obviously learning what happened in the New York primary
It's a
tonight.
technicality. That's
Okay.
why it's two
So, Mr. Gross,
ordinances.
you'll,
It's only a technicality, but the
think
issue remains the same.
When the other hearing comes up, just make reference, which will be for the record, to suggest that there's more testimony in this.
Right, okay. So,
Refer it back.
so we're starting with 2481-16, which deals with licensing e-cigarettes, as they're called. My name is Richard Trank. I'm the town attorney and have been honored to serve in that capacity since 1998. And we are prepared tonight to present certain testimony and information that we're going to hand out. So my colleague, Jessica Buffman, who has spent an enormous amount of time researching and investigating the various laws that exist and don't exist in this state, is handing you a booklet of different information that we'll talk about briefly. What I'm going to do is give you a quick overview, and then I'm going to ask our health director, Teresa DeNova, to speak, then our deputy chief, Bowie, from the police department to speak, and then we have a couple of outside guests who have been involved in these issues. So let me start briefly with the obvious. There is no doubt for anybody in this room, in this society, in this state, in this town, that nicotine kills. It kills 480,000 people in the United States annually. It costs $170 billion in healthcare expenses every year. This is a health issue, okay? And that's what this is about tonight. It's not about solving every issue in society. It's about looking at West Orange and what we can do to make our town help young people who are at extremely formative time avoid getting, quote, hooked on nicotine. So as you all know, 95% of the people who get hooked on nicotine get hooked before they're 21. Those are the statistics, without a doubt. The legislation here in this ordinance and then the legislation in 2480-16 has already been adopted in Hawaii, in 100 cities and counties nationwide, including Boston, New York City, Suffolk County, Long Island, Cleveland, Kansas City. It was vetoed by our governor in this state in January of this year to raise the legal age to sell tobacco, cigarettes, nicotine from 19, we're currently at 19, to 21. There are now, as you will see in the handout that Ms. Buffman just gave you, 16 municipalities, including one in Essex County, Belleville, that have raised the age. The sponsor of the legislation on a statewide level, and we went and met with him, was our own Governor Cody, who's represented this district, as you know, for about 33 years. And the bottom line is, one of the items in your packet is a letter from the Office of Legislative Services that says that because the state has not acted, there is no preemption. I think it's tab 4. Can I see the final book? I only have the earlier version. Do you have an extra copy? So,
Yes, tab 4.
Tab 4 is a letter from OLS that clearly says that you are not preempted on page 7
it indicates that because the state legislature has not acted in this area and because the governor has not enacted a law, you have the right to regulate the sale of tobacco products in your municipality and any municipality in New Jersey. You will see there are a number of materials and analyses. You'll see the 16 municipalities are listed under tab 3 that have enacted this. A number of them are in Bergen, but you'll see they're throughout New Jersey. So e-cigarettes, or what are called electronic nicotine delivery products. So everybody thought, and again, Director DeNova is going to come up here in a few minutes and give you her knowledge and expertise, but everybody thought this was a way to somehow avoid kids getting hooked on nicotine. The bottom line is there's no state law on this. This is the wild, wild west. Governor Cody has introduced legislation that would try to regulate even the ability that whatever, and I'm going to let Director DeNova talk about, there is currently nothing on a statewide level. There's no licensing. So what we are proposing in this legislation is, and we are modeling this after Belleville and other municipalities, is that we create a licensure fee of $1,200 per year per entity. Now, that number is also critical because one of the things that I know this municipal council was concerned about in the earlier discussions, and we've tried to improve the legislation that's before you, is how do we educate? How do we enforce? The bottom line of the story is this will allow us, and we're asking if the legislation is approved tonight, that it not take effect until July 1? July 1st. So we're going to take the next 90 days and we're going to get the word out to every establishment that sells tobacco. So if you look at tab 6 is a list of the 61 cigarette retailers in West Orange. 41, I'm sorry, I said 61, 41. So there are 41 entities, and Your Honor, council people, you can see they run the gamut from, ShopRite to liquor stores to other establishments, Krausers and whatnot. So that is regulated, and they are licensed, and they pay licensure fees to the state of New Jersey. So we know they're selling regular cigarettes, so obviously there is a fair degree of possibility they're selling e-cigarettes. So we will obviously reach out to all of them. We are going to try to create some uniformity with signage. Did you have that? So one of the things that Director DeNova and Ms. Buffman worked on today, and I'll hold up, and again, we'll get it professionally done, but basically, you've all seen it when you've gone to buy, or hopefully not going to buy cigarettes or alcohol, but basically we want every place in West Orange to have a notice that explains the law in West Orange will be 21. And so we will use the next 90 days to go out there. It will not be about enforcement initially. It'll be about education. It'll be about educating employees at stores, and it will be educating store owners. So that Director DeNova has been working with us on a budget, and a lot of that will be about education, uniformity, and obviously we have had programs in this state. The money has dried up, but there have been programs, and Governor Cody told me his boys did it when they were younger, where you have literally, high school or who go with the health department and who see if a store owner sells them tobacco when they're underage. So again, that's down the line. For now, it's about getting the word out. You all have in front of you, there was a New York Times editorial that's in this packet, that's tab 8, that came out on March 5th, 2016, that talked about the importance. There are 2 critical studies that have been out that are in your packet or we have available. The American Academy of Pediatrics has clearly said that what's happening with e-cigarettes is it's doubling every year in middle school and in high schools, the use of these products. So they are becoming, some of it is always because of advertising and whatnot, it is becoming the glamorous, new, kind of cool thing to do. So the goal here is, again, As a community that cares about its neighborhood and cares about its young people and all people, it's about not getting people hooked. So with that note, I'm going to turn it over to Director DeNova. Teresa DeNova runs an amazing department within our township and works hard every day on all the health issues. And she has obviously some firsthand knowledge as to e-cigarettes in particular.
Thank you, Richard and Council. I really want to commend Richard and especially Jessica for really doing so much work with statistics and finding out real information on health statistics and what's really happening now with smoking and the new topic of e-cigarettes. I want to say smoking is the #1 preventable cause of death and disease. Smoking is the #1 cause of death and disease. It's preventable. And yet, we had a program that was really great, and it was disbanded because of lack of funding. We know that smoking causes numerous numbers of cancer, heart disease, stroke, pulmonary disease. And we also know that our youth are the most vulnerable to becoming addicted to nicotine. So having the age rise to 21 is especially effective because it changes the social community for people that are buying cigarettes or e-cigarettes legally. So if you're 19, you're more likely to be friends with people that are 18, 17, 16. When you're 21, you're kind of out of the high school environment so that you're an adult and you choose what you want to do. So one of the reasons for the 21 is we're hoping that, you know, there's less access to our youth. With the e-cigarettes, we're finding, I didn't know that much about it myself. And I started doing research about it because I started seeing kids vaping. And I've started seeing employees here vaping. It's not dangerous. We're just vaping. They didn't really understand that there's liquid nicotine in the electronic cigarette. And how better to get people addicted than to have them sucking in nicotine. Even though it's not going in the air per se, you're still sucking in that nicotine. So once I started doing the research, I realized that the 7 most famous brands of e-cigarettes are manufactured by the cigarette companies. So why else would they be manufacturing them if they didn't want people hooked on nicotine? So when cigarettes, when there started to be more regulations on cigarettes and alcohol, they also regulated advertising. There's no regulations for advertising of e-cigarettes. It's all over the internet, and they're doing the exact same things the cigarette companies did that were banned. They're marketing to the youth. They're trying to make it look sexy. They're having celebrities using e-cigarettes. They put them in the gift bag at the Oscars. I mean, they're trying to make it acceptable, and they're getting away with it because they're permitted to do this advertising also on the internet. So kids think it's cool. They may want to say that, the companies want to say that, oh, we're using it as smoking cessation. That's really not. Maybe for adults that have smoked for 20 years and they want to use an e-cigarette, well, that's fine. But for the kids, they think it's cool, they don't think it's dangerous, and we need to find a way to market and let them know that, yes, it is. They're fooling you. You're going to become addicted to nicotine, and then what's going to happen? Then maybe you won't be using an e-cigarette, you might be using a traditional cigarette. So it's a whole cycle of now what we have promoted in public health, how bad smoking is for you, how many diseases it causes. Now the e-cigarette is kind of making that take a big step backward into thinking that it's okay, and we want to say in West Orange, it's not okay, not for kids at least. You know, when you're older, you do whatever you want to do, but it's also included in the Indoor Air Act. You can't vape in a restaurant or any other place where you can't smoke a cigarette. You can't use an e-cigarette. So that's another thing that had to be promoted, because you go out to a restaurant and you say, what is that? And you see that somebody is smoking an e-cigarette because they think it's okay, and it's not okay. So we feel that we have to find where the merchants are that sell the e-cigarettes. We're going to start off using the Department of Treasury list that we got from the clerk for the establishments that are already licensed to sell cigarettes, because we feel some of them may. Looking at the advertisement online, we found out of the 40-something licensed to sell cigarettes, about 20 of them were being advertised. You can look online and find out, where can I buy a particular e-cigarette if I want it, in any locale on the web. You can find that out. So we know that that's already probably around 20, and we hope to find some more. We're going to send out literature to these establishments to let them know, if the council passes the ordinance, that this is what the ordinance is and what we're doing, and we want to use those funds to create the program for us to do the inspections, because these are things that we do after hours and on weekends with young people that will come with us eventually to make sure that the establishments are not selling to persons under 21. Like we did in the past, it was a real success. The signage was out, the U-Card poster is also out there that, it would say, we card under, 21 is the law, so they have to check the license. And if they don't do that, there's penalties in the ordinance for that. So, we were doing it from 1995 to 2009, so there's been a big gap, and we don't really know if they're following the ordinance for 19 or not, unless we get a complaint from somebody that says, oh, so-and-so sold cigarettes and my kid's only 16. So we don't know that until we actually, go out there and do the inspections. So I think that, anything that we can do to prevent young people from getting hooked on nicotine and smoking is going to save millions of dollars down the line in healthcare costs, but also is going to save their lives.
Thank you very much. We'll have Teresa be available to answer any questions or whatnot. I do want to note that Director DeNova has worked on a tentative budget, and we're realistic. We are hopeful that the first year that we will get 12 of the licensees to pay the fee. If they don't, obviously we'll follow up on it. That would create a budget of about $14,400. All that money will be dedicated. It's not going to go in general coffers. It's all going to be dedicated at education and working with store owners and whatnot. And so we've got a budget that will, which again, we will present to you as we move forward on it. But again, the goal here is to get voluntary conformance. So we have, from the very beginning after this council acted initially, we set up a series of meetings, and Chief Abbott immediately stepped to the plate, because one of the issues that I know the council was concerned about was enforcement. It's nice to have important laws that fill a health and a moral imperative, but how are we going to get the word out? And Chief Abbott stepped to the plate and said, the police department can work with the health department because we're out there all the time anyway. So if getting the information out or identifying the stores that are selling, because keep in mind, e-cigarettes don't have to be sold by establishments. This is the point that Director DeNova keeps making. Clothing stores, some high-end or other stores, they can sell this stuff because they don't have to get anything from Trenton. And again, that goes to a lot of different issues. So again, Chief Abbott has been adamant and been a leader in this. Chief Abbott could not be here tonight because his daughter is being honored with an honor tonight, but Deputy Chief Buey is here, and wanted to make a couple quick comments about the police department's sense as to their ability to assist with this initiative. Chief?
Good evening, everybody. Deputy Chief John Buey of the West Orange Police Department. As Richard said, the West Orange Police Department is not opposed to this ordinance, and it's consistent with the policies of the police department to protect and serve the safety of all the citizens of this community. This will not hamper our operations of the police department in any way, and we continually assist the health department in other areas that are governed by town ordinance, as well as other divisions within the township. So this will be no problem for us.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
We do have the Executive Director, Karen Blumenfeld from GASP here, but before that, we do have a gentleman who I want to invite up. He asked earlier, and we might as well bring him up now, and then Ms. Blumenfeld can follow up and respond to some of the concerns. So we have the Executive Director here from Wall Township of a trade organization, which we all respect, the New Jersey Gasoline Convenience Store Automotive Associations. And we realize those are small business owners, and we have a number of them in town. His name is Sal Risavella, and he'll come up and pronounce his name correctly. But he articulated some of the issues, and I asked him to, when he said this is going to hurt, some local convenience stores, I said, okay, so what percentage? First of all, he was honest. He said there's not a lot of profit in selling cigarettes, but it's all about luring the people in, because hopefully then they'll buy gas, they'll buy ham and cheese sandwiches, and I saw some of this in the state legislative hearings that occurred. And again, the bottom line of the story, and he said, of course, if somebody wants to get cigarettes and they're 19 or 20, they can go to Livingston, they can go to Orange, they can go to South Orange, they can go to other towns. They will. This was, his recommendations. We passed resolutions asking Trenton to act. Well, again, you have the power to act in your town. That's why you were elected, to do what you think is right. So whether or not, and obviously people like me believe strongly that one day Trenton will act, why the governor vetoed it is not for me to comment on. But the bottom line of the story is the concept that someone will drive to Livingston or Orange or East Orange or South Orange or whatever other community, especially when you see the tide is changing. When we were here 2 months ago, only 3 towns had passed it. The bottom line of the story is our community is concerned about our community residents. And what my colleague who will speak in a couple of minutes is they cannot identify that the concept that you can't buy, and the example is CVS. Let's not forget, we all know there's either a bank or a drugstore on every corner in this country by this point. So you have choices. We can go to Walgreens, we can go to Rite Aid, or we can go to CVS. CVS, as we all know, last fall eliminated all tobacco sales. And again, there is not one anecdotal report that suggests that CVS is on the verge of some insolvency or whatnot. And people like me, I'm more likely to go to CVS now and I don't go to Walgreens.
We have 4 in town.
Right. So again, we totally respect these business owners. We believe we can work with them to make this a win-win. Again, there is no empirical evidence, and I think my colleague will be honest, to suggest that there's any proof. He told me 3% of the total tobacco sales are that sliver, 19 and 20-year-olds. I said, so what's the profits or what? They said, well, it's not about that. It's about the ham and cheese sandwich. Again, I respect them. We'll work with them. We do everything we can as administration to try to be business friendly. Councilwoman McCartney has been all over that because she's a small business owner, as many of you are in the council, and we're committed. But again, I want to yield to my colleague. I know he hasn't eaten lunch. He told me his oatmeal's still in his car, so we welcome him tonight.
Yeah, and thank you for your correspondence as well. We received some letters outlining your viewpoints on the policy issue.
Thank you. But to be clear, which ordinance are we hearing at the moment?
We're talking about both.
We are talking about both.
Because
I wasn't sure. And I thank the attorney for giving my testimony and rebutting it before I gave it.
Before we get started, do you mind giving us your name?
I apologize.
Oh, no,
my name is Sal Risalvato. I'm the executive director of the New Jersey Gasoline Convenience Store and Automotive Association. We represent gasoline retail stores, which over the years, more and more of them have closed their service bays and opened convenience stores because the sale of coffee and chips and soda and water and the items that you buy on impulse in a convenience store are profitable. There are 3 items that are not profitable that bring people into our store. One of them is gasoline, another is lottery, and another is cigarettes. And those 3 things we sell, not that we sell them at a loss, but we sell them at very, very slim margins, because when somebody comes into the store to purchase a lottery ticket that we make 5 cents on. They generally buy a cup of coffee, a bag of chips, a bottle of water, or something, and we make $1 on that. When somebody comes in to buy a pack of cigarettes, we make about 30 cents. But that's not a lot of money because you're spending, I think the price of cigarettes is about $7 or $8. A lottery ticket's $1, I make 5 cents. So that's a very slim margin, but when you come in to buy that, you buy a cup of coffee. The profit on a cup of coffee is $1, on a just regular cup of coffee. So that 3%, and this is a figure that we get from the CDC, that says the category of 19 and 20-year-olds represents 3% of sales. That 3%, and we have done a calculation. We actually had a member in Paramus take his sales in his convenience store, and they're modest sales. It's not even a high volume, modest sales. Once he interpolated all of the sales he loses on the other items, it came to $7,800 a year in gross profit, bottom line out of his pocket. That's his paycheck, not $7,800 in sales, $7,800 from the loss of the sales equated to that. And this was on a conservative basis, and this was a modest store. Will this man go out of business? Absolutely, positively not. So if anybody comes up here afterwards and says, that I'm saying my members are going to go out of business, I'm not saying that. Some could. These are small business owners, and I would ask you to put yourself in their shoes. If your boss came in tomorrow, because I know everybody here has to have a job somewhere. If your boss came in tomorrow and says, listen, we need to do something for public safety and we're going to cut your pay this year by $8,000, how does that sit with you? What you're trying to do in terms of reducing tobacco use, there's no question that is laudable. And I would actually even thank you. In the conversation I had outside with the attorney, a light bulb went off. I just realized last week, the 10th of this month, was the 30th anniversary of me cold turkey quitting smoking. And if I didn't, I would have been dead. There's no question. In fact, literally, the light bulb had to go off. I don't even remember that I smoked. So it is laudable, there's no question. I am asking you to be considerate of the local business owners, because it isn't going to stop somebody, certainly that is smoking now, it's not going to make them stop. They will change their habits. They will purchase in another town. That means that's where they'll purchase their gas. It means it's where they'll purchase their coffee. Nobody's going to come in for the cup of coffee and then go to the next town to get their cigarettes. It doesn't make sense. Convenience stores are convenience stores because of the word convenience. It is the type of business that's there. It's not the same as going into the supermarket and you buy cigarettes in the supermarket while you're picking up all your groceries. There you go on grocery shopping and you're purchasing cigarettes while you're there. And it's not the same as CVS. CVS is a drugstore. You go there to buy your drugs and you may go there to buy groceries, and you buy your cigarettes when you're there for those other things. And you can go right across the street. CVS, if you're a CVS customer for your drugs and you're buying your cigarettes, which, by the way, I attended a meeting today, it's just coincidental, that the tobacco sales to convenience stores rose after CVS did that. So those customers came into convenience stores. Now that's a good thing, because these are small business people that are looking to make a profit. They're not making tons of money. They make a living. They try to make a good living. And like I said, the one store that put his pencil to paper came up with a $7,800 loss out of his pocket. That's a sting. That is a sting, especially if it doesn't accomplish anything, especially if somebody just goes to the next town over, which means the next town over, their local business people are profiting. As much as we wouldn't want to see this, it is much better to have it done on a statewide basis. In the recent hearings in Trenton, I did not testify because I can't ask you to ask Trenton, put pressure on Trenton to do it if I'm going to ask Trenton not to do it. So I did it. Does it sting? Yes, but it doesn't discriminate. This, in a municipality, discriminates against the local business here. And if you then further pass the $1,200 fee, that's not taking $7,800 out of a member's pocket. That's taking $9,000 out because you're adding another $1,200. And I get what you're trying to do, but are you hurting the local business people? And everybody says they're for small business. I just don't think that this body or any local municipality should discriminate against their own local businesses. That's all. I just respectfully ask that you take them. They are my constituents. They are good, hardworking people. Please do what 5 other towns, yes, 15 towns have passed this, but 5 other towns have listened to what I've had to say, and they've agreed they don't want to hurt their local business people. They passed a resolution asking Trenton to do that. I am going to ask you to do the same, and I respectfully request that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input.
So I do want to give you a fact. In 2005, Needham, Massachusetts, it's about 12 square miles, just like our town, a population of about 30,000 people, passed Tobacco 21. Within 5 years, their high school teen smoking rate declined by 47%. That's between 2006 and 2010. So again, when we talk about being considerate, obviously, our young people, our ability to not have people have to go through what the executive director went through 30 years ago, and he successfully kicked it. He's a credit, and we're all pleased for him. Like he said, he wouldn't be alive today but for that. Our goal is to have people never get addicted to nicotine. So with that, I want to introduce a person who's really been at the forefront of this effort for probably the better part of her life now. And that's Karen Blumenfeld. Karen is an attorney, and she's executive director of GASP, and she is really the foremost authority on what's going on in these issues. So, Ms. Blumenfeld, if you'll come forward.
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me to present on this balmy evening in April. I want to thank everyone that has testified and provided information to you. We really do believe that education is the best means and methodology for reducing tobacco use, especially amongst young people, as it was shared that 90% of all people start using tobacco before they turn age 21. New Jersey is a leader on the Tobacco 21 issue, as well as the issue of creating a local license for selling e-cigarettes. The state, as was mentioned, already has 16 communities that have done this, and there's movement on the state level as well to accomplish this. Clearly, with a 90% rate of people starting to use the product by the time they turn age 21 is quite alarming. And as the health director noted, smoking is the #1 cause of preventable death and disease. So when I hear testimony about potentially losing business, I think about the $3 billion a year that our state spends on healthcare costs related to smoking and being exposed to secondhand smoke. And so I really can't even compare and estimate, God bless you, and estimated with no backing, no evidence, no statistics, no documentation that says that there's an estimated $7,800 loss when you compare that to the life of one individual in your community. I consider one young person in your community worth a lot more than $7,800, quite frankly, and that historically the industry has reimbursed retailers for the costs of doing business in town with regards to licenses. University of California had done some research on this with regards to other types of licenses or fees that the retailers pay with regards to tobacco, and it was discovered that the industry reimburses them. Now, is this something that would be so unheard of? Absolutely not. The industry spends over $330 million a year in New Jersey alone marketing tobacco. That doesn't even include e-cigarettes. That was just a number for tobacco before e-cigarettes took off, about like 3 years ago or supposedly. And so $1,200 is a mere pittance. It's invisible to the tobacco industry when they're spending $330 million just to market the product to our communities. And so when one looks at, is $1,200 too high, too low? It doesn't appear to be that it's an issue at all in the communities that have done an e-cigarette license. Many of the communities have chosen $1,200, and they're using it for educational outreach, compliance, etc. A really good point was brought up that our state, even though we were the first state in the nation to ban the use of electronic smoking devices back in 2010, the first state to do that. That was when the e-cigarette industry was not organized on a national level. The blue cigarette, e-cigarette really was non-existent basically at that point. It was mostly like a cottage industry. And yet our state decided to do this. Since then, there has been much more national and global organization with regards to the use of these products. And yet, even in the face of almost weekly, another study comes out that shows the deleterious health effects of electronic smoking device use on the person using them, as well as to the people that are exposed to this product, that these products are continued to be used in other places. Fortunately, in New Jersey, in all workplaces and public places, schools, etc., is not permissible. New York City also did a ban on the e-cigarette use in all public places and workplaces. But clearly there needs to be a lot more with regards to restricting the sale of these products. We already know for decades the insidious nature of the tobacco industry to market to young people and to use celebrity endorsements and everything they possibly could do. And then our government, our federal government, shut that down when the tobacco industry settled with the federal government. But lo and behold, here come e-cigarettes, and it's the same old industry playbook that was used back then that is being used now. So unfortunately, our state does not have, as you heard previously, does not have a licensing structure so that communities can call up Treasury, like the health director did, to find out where they're being sold. Sometimes they're sold at places where cigarettes are sold, and that's where one can get a list where cigarettes are sold, but there are many other places where that doesn't happen. And so by having local licenses of e-cigarette retailers, we see that communities are doing this because they want to be able to track the locations selling these products to ensure that whatever local and state laws exist that relate to e-cigarettes, that they're able to track those stores and ensure compliance with those policies. For example, a state law just passed and was signed by Governor Christie in January that will require all e-cigarette retailers that sell e-liquids. E-liquids are the liquids that one pours into the electronic smoking device, and they contain flavors, chemicals, what have you, nicotine, most likely. And so there's the products of the e-cigarettes that are all sealed, like Blue, which are sold by Big Tobacco, and then there are the vaporizers, which continues to be more of a cottage industry, but believe me, it's not cottage the way you would think it is. But that's when you buy the vaporizer yourself and you buy the liquid nicotine yourself and you pour it in. Well, the industry itself has not self-regulated the concern about e-cigarette liquids poisoning young children, poisoning pets, and even poisoning people where the cap on the little vial is not sealed properly by the person using it, and they get dermal poisoning. So the industry has not done this themselves. So 16 states and New Jersey now passed a law in January that require that any store that sells e-liquid nicotine, by August, those vials will have to be in child-proof packaging. Now, how is a community that doesn't have a policy that allows for the health department to track all the stores that sell these products, how are they supposed to enforce that? So clearly, we see that towns that did these policies before something like that passed, and now towns that are doing that, can utilize their database of e-cigarette stores in order to ensure compliance with the state law. And what does that mean? It doesn't mean, okay, they're in compliance with state law. That means that children will not get a hold of these vials and they get poisoned because they open it up and they drink it. And there have been numerous cases of children being poisoned. The rate from the Poison Control Center in the state and federally has skyrocketed because of young children getting poisoned by these, and unfortunately dying as well. So there are a lot of good reasons to have this type of a policy. And of course, as the health director noted, the state no longer funds the towns to do the tobacco age of sale enforcement to ensure that stores are not selling product to young people. So with regards to the e-cigarette retailing, we see that communities have found benefits to these, and perhaps your town would as well. Just a note on the tobacco 21, and then I just want to refute a couple things that were said previously. With regards to Tobacco 21, as I noted, 16 communities are doing this and many more are looking to it. We think that these types of policies are wise with regards to protecting young people from these products. And just a couple of things that I think you should be aware of when you're considering this particular policy. That raising the age of tobacco sales to 21s aligns with other restrictions that we have with regards to alcohol. I am unaware of data that showed that liquor stores closed up once the age was raised to 21, and liquor stores do sell other types of products as well. So we didn't see that, and they adapted. And there are benefits to that. There are obviously clearly the short-term benefits of young people not getting a hold of alcohol and then getting into accidents, et cetera. But there's also long-term benefits of also helping people prevent access to alcohol with regards to alcoholism. So with tobacco, clearly one doesn't see the car wreck as soon as one lights up with a young person, by a young person, but over time, we know that it becomes the number one cause of preventable disease and death. Now, there's no additional burden on a tobacco retailer or e-cigarette retailer because if they're already selling tobacco, the federal government requires that they already prove people who look under the age of 27. So there's not an undue burden being placed on the retailer or their employees to check ID because they're already doing it. And again, for those that decide that they want to quit smoking, like this gentleman and others, albeit it's 7 attempts to quit this most addictive product that's more addictive than cocaine or heroin. But when they do quit, they will have more disposable income, as will young people who do not start to use these products will have a goodly amount of disposable income to spend in these stores and in other places in the town. With regards to just refuting a couple of the statements that were made that I didn't cover already, I do find it ironic that the association is asking you to pass a resolution to have the state raise the age to 21, when in fact I've been at almost all of the hearings at the state level where his organization opposes that. So it's unclear to me why his organization would ask you to pass a resolution that, when it does come to state level, that he would oppose anyway. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. And again, just to reiterate that we've never been provided or seen any evidence at a local council hearing, Board of Health hearing, or on the state level that concludes that there's any loss whatsoever of revenues. And again, compared to $3 billion in healthcare costs, and the fact that historically the industry pays for reimbursing for all sorts of fees, et cetera, to us that just doesn't hold any water whatsoever. And we are unaware of any community that has rescinded a Tobacco 21 ordinance or rescinded an ordinance that does create this e-cigarette license for any reason, let alone a complaint from a local retailer. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I really do appreciate your time. I know that I did give you a lot of information, but thank you.
I would like to ask any member of the public wishing to address the town council on this issue to come up at this time. Yes, Ms. Morelli?
excuse me, Rosary Morelli, Ralph Road. I wasn't planning on staying, but now I'm glad I did. I'm going to bore you with the fact that in my career or in my life, I'm a volunteer member of the Small Business Administration as well as a member of the Ruth Estrin Goldberg Memorial for Cancer Research. I'm a since 1975. Past president, current member of the Board of Trustees. So I can speak from the monetary end of it and the impact that cigarettes can have. In addition to that fact, my husband smoked for 60 years. He started at age 18. And my brother-in-law and my husband passed away within 3 months of each other, not from cancer, but from other effects of tobacco, where the arteries get constricted by smoking. And that then stops the blood from nourishing the organs, the heart, whatever. We talked about, the gentleman spoke about, I have this flyer, excuse me, about people 19 and 20 years old are responsible enough to vote, get married, join the military, etc. Addiction doesn't know any age. Once you start, you're addicted, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Secondhand smoke affects children and families. I wouldn't allow my husband to smoke in the house. He smoked in the garage. Attracting customers into stores is important. Again, the SBA, encouraging small business, it's an impact on income that they earn. But I think health, good health, and long life is more important. I encourage you. We need this. And I applaud the township for doing it. I really do. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your personal experience. Any other member of the public wishing to address the council at this time? Seeing none, do any of my colleagues have questions? Yes. Councilman Moreno?
Thank you, Council President. Oh, now I can move back because I didn't want to. Okay. Thank you, Council President. First of all, Mr. Trank, Jessica, Director, and Karen, thank you for pulling this all together. We've made this a great, great working document and a great ordinance too. Another quality of life for the township, the residents of the township of West Orange. I champion this. You know, this is something I really feel strong about. It's something that we're helping our children. We don't want to create another generation of long-term smokers. We want to save money in a way for health costs. People complain about the care of health costs. Well, here's a way to start addressing it. We're not putting undue influence. Believe me, I'm a very big proponent of small business, but we're not putting undue pressure on them and undue economic hardships. We're just doing something that's part of doing social welfare. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's part of the welfare. And my colleagues, I appreciate your input. With your input and your observance and your comments, you've made and you've helped our legal department, our health department, and people like Karen who brought this together. Now we have a true document that could be an example for other townships to use going forward. At the end of the day, that's what we were elected for, to make the hard decisions. What's best for our community? What's best for our children? And I'm a big proponent of the health of our children. My long years of running Mountaintop League, you know, for sports, you know, having an organization like that for children to have healthiness, for working on Partners in Health to have, you know, obesity problems and walking, you know, safe routes to school. The whole idea of making a healthy, you know, population, this is one way of getting there. It's not, we're not looking to hurt anybody. We're just looking to help in a long run and let people judge. I mean, at the end of the day, after we've made the decision, let the population judge if this was the right thing. Do they feel it's better? Do we hear parents say you don't want to see your kid smoking? I'm sure we've all had children who've smoked and now have gotten rid of it because, one, they can't afford it, and two, they get sick. So you see it. And I believe it's our responsibility. This is one of the things we were elected for, to make the hard decisions for our community. And to my colleagues, you know, I thank you. I thank you for the support on this, because at the end of the day, we're doing, and I know we are doing the right thing. And again, my thanks to all that have been involved. Thank you, Council President.
Councilman, thank you. Councilwoman McCarthy?
Sure, thank you, Council President. My notes may be scattered listening to the testimony, but my thoughts are not scattered because since we first introduced this in January, I have been a proponent of this because I see it as a health issue. I appreciate the health department. That was one of my concerns about that educational outreach. I think that is needed on all of our ordinances that we pass things. How do people know about them? So I appreciate your participation in this educational outreach. I want to thank Rosary Morelli for the comment. It was a profound statement about how addiction does not recognize any age. It is a health issue. And to Mr. Salvato, I am a small business owner. So from a point of view, from a small business owner, maybe I'm lucky that I have non-smokers on my staff. It's not a prerequisite. It turned out that way. But I pay for their health benefits. So I see it as a savings as far as their health benefits, and I see that as a long-term savings for them contributing to their health plan, and for me paying for that health plan. I see that as cost savings for health benefits. I appreciate in our package here the letter to from Senator Cody in the Office of Legislative Services about the municipality to be able to do this on our own, because if and when the state even considers adopting such a policy or state law, we have the power right now to save lives in our community from this addictive, unhealthy practice. So. My vote was yes in January, and it's a vote yes again in April.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Castellino?
Thank you, Council President. I did not support this last time around, and I clearly stated why. Not that I didn't support the initiative, because I clearly did. Be an advocate for children for so many years, unfortunately being touched by many cancer victims in my own personal family. But what I had trouble wrapping my head around was how we were going to enforce the ordinance. I think it's great to pass an ordinance that is in there for the right reasons, but if we couldn't enforce it, I just felt we didn't have enough teeth in it. Mr. Trank, we had spoke right after that that other ordinance did not pass, and I appreciate you working with Ms. Navoa and Jessica and the police department. This is something that we can work with, and it's something enforceable. I think it will be a great benefit to the community. It will be a great benefit to even our younger students. My next Board of Ed liaison meeting, I'm going to bring this up to make sure that our high school kids are working with it. Education's everything. We have to get exposure out there. I could see our kids on our TV 36 broadcast show debating this issue and giving their opinion on it. So this is a great piece of legislation, and I appreciate that everyone went back and revisited this. Mr. Get your name right. Rizzavalla. Thank you for coming down and for advocating on behalf of the small business owners. I do believe most business owners in this community will benefit from this in the long run, especially during the summer months. I see driving throughout, especially downtown area, and we're doing lots of promoter downtown, a lot of the small bodegas in the township. Unfortunately, some of the kids, the younger kids, will go in to purchase cigarettes or whatever, and they'll hang outside and congregate. So I think this will help the business owners in the long run, because the kids will scatter and there's enforcement, and that's why I really was a proponent for the enforcement of this ordinance. So thank you to all for working on this. And Karen, thank you very much for your testimony as well. Very educating and very scary. I mean, these e-cigarettes, very scary. I have an aunt who has lung cancer, was quitting smoking as soon as she found out she had lung cancer, and was still smoking those e-cigarettes. So it very thinking, you're doing the right thing. So this has been a great educational experience. I think this will benefit our entire community. So thank you to all for all your hard work.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. If I could ask Ms. Blumenfeld a couple more questions on her testimony, I would really appreciate it. You're obviously very knowledgeable about this, and I just had some outstanding questions, obviously not on the negative impact of smoking. I think, as it's been said, is the universal belief. But I just wanted to know, since you focused on New Jersey so much, can you tell me if you know of anything about how the existing laws in the state prohibiting 19 and under, how they've been enforced? Do you have any information about how they've been enforced at this point?
Well, currently, it's my understanding that the State Department of Health has a small amount of money where they randomly select communities, and then they have a small cadre of state health officers that go out and do the tobacco age of sale enforcement with those communities that are randomly selected. When the communities were being funded by the state to do it themselves, there were many, many more that were taking place. And I believe that the age went from 18 to 19 around 2005 and 2006, but it was somewhere around that time where the tobacco, and you may have a better idea about the date. 1995 to 2009. Yeah, okay, and then after that, that was it, then the money dried up for the locals to do that. So I hope that answers your question.
Sure. Thank you. You were mentioning about nicotine poisoning, and you said that the incidences of nicotine poisoning by children in the state has skyrocketed. Can you tell me anything more about quantitatively what that data is?
Sure. I don't know if I have it handy on me, but I can send that to the council because I testified at the hearing on that particular bill, and so we have written testimony to that effect. But it went from it was probably, this is recollection, so don't hold me to it, but I believe it might have been double digits too. Now it's like triple digits. And so it's, we're not only concerned about it, but 16 other states were very concerned about this, which, has led to a decision by our governor who hasn't really signed off on much tobacco control legislation to acknowledge that this is something that really needs to be assessed. And clearly it will affect the businesses because they'll now be responsible for ensuring that all these products are sealed. But you can go onto our website. We aggregate news stories specifically on this particular topic, and there are those unfortunate stories not only in New Jersey but New York State and elsewhere which call attention to the need for this type of policy. So it's quite an unfortunate situation, and it's also equally as unfortunate that the industry didn't require it amongst themselves to take care of it in the first place, and that government intervention has to do something that should be so blatantly obvious to a business owner, but and many times business owners do the right thing, obviously, but this is one of those situations where government needed to step in.
Okay, thank you. There was a statement made at the beginning of this portion of the council meeting that nicotine kills. That is not what I have learned through my research. Can you address that question?
We didn't make, I don't believe that I made that statement, but I can address with you with words. And again, on our website, we have a whole section, and I can share this with you, and print it out or email it to you. But nicotine on its own is unhealthful. So, and I think that the health director can probably speak to some of this as well, since I'm not a physician or a nurse or what have you, but the information that I read and that my colleagues who are in the health profession state that nicotine is unhealthful. It increases your heart rate, constricts your blood vessels, and does a whole host of things to your body that are not healthy. So there are nicotine receptors in people's brains. Everyone has these receptors that will respond to nicotine, and many times people say that I never smoked, so I don't have this experience, but we hear time and time again people say that then they smoke, they feel relaxed, but that is from my colleagues that are in the medical field, that is because the nicotine receptors are being bound to the nicotine. When they're not bound to nicotine, they make people who smoke anxious. This is what I've been told. Again, I don't smoke, but once people smoke, then that anxious feeling goes away, and that's because of the pharmacological effect of the nicotine binding to the receptors in the brain. So it may feel as though people who smoke do get a relaxed feeling from smoking, but from what I've been told and read, that is the opposite effect, what in fact is actually happening in their body.
Yeah, my research, and it's based upon, I used to be a smoker too. I broke the rules. I started smoking in my early 20s, and it took me almost a decade to quit. So I've been like smoke-free for 30 years. But what you just described is the same feeling that I got. And it's also similar to the feeling I get when I drink coffee. Used to drink caffeinated coffee. And I know that the effects of both of the drugs are similar, although nicotine is considered to be a stronger dosage in terms of addiction, or potential addiction. Is that how you understand it?
I'm not an addiction specialist, so unfortunately I don't know that. But I can also share with you that nicotine does kill in the sense of, like, it has killed children and it has killed, young, small animals, pets, because they've ingested it or because of dermal contact. So there's two ways of looking at, nicotine. There's nicotine that you smoke, that that you inhale through your system, and there's the nicotine that's unintended consumption, which is when a child intakes it, or an animal, or it spills onto someone, and they, in their pocket, they have the vial in their pocket, and opens up and gets on their leg, which was a recent situation that had happened, and the person got very severe nicotine poisoning from that. So,
in your experience, is one of the potential sources of nicotine poisoning in children inappropriate use of nicotine smoking cessation patches?
we haven't heard of that, at all. I mean, it's like, and again, you'd have to look at the labeling of how much nicotine is in a patch versus a vial. The vial, my understanding from the experts, is that it's exceedingly concentrated. So I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Thank You for Smoking. If you saw it, or anyone see that movie? Okay, but if you haven't seen that movie, the lead actor, he works for the tobacco industry, and things happen, but like it ends up that his body's like covered in patches, and that he claims that he had nicotine poisoning. I mean, that's kind of like an absurd example, but I think that one would have to put on probably a goodly amount of these patches, or it's my understanding that if you smoke and you have a patch on, that you can become sick because you're taking in too much nicotine. So imagine just like a patch and then you're smoking versus the concentration that these vials can come in, that people are using in these products. I mean, it's only like, my understanding is like a few drops of it in the liquid nicotine can, be lethal to like a small child or like a pet.
So my research, and I'll let you go, and I appreciate your coming back up. My research has shown is that the vast majority, over 90% of the health effects of cigarette smoking are due to breathing in the combustion of a cigarette. That combustion is not present in e-cigarettes. It's heated air vapor and is not the result of combustion. Do I understand that correctly? Those two elements?
I don't think that's a correct assessment. It's just really comparing apples and oranges of, deadly products. So, for example, there's a whole concoction that's combusted when one smokes a cigarette or another type of a tobacco product like a cigar. And then with an electronic smoking device, which is vaporized, the whole concoction of chemicals that are in the liquid, either they, in their current state, of a liquid, it's the same as it is when it's a vapor, or it changes when it becomes a vapor, and it becomes very, very toxic. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the chemical diacetyl. Have you ever heard of that chemical? So most e-liquids contain this chemical called diacetyl, and diacetyl can cause, it's called popcorn lung disease, because it's a very terrible lung disease that's irreversible. My understanding is that the only way you can get over it is a lung transplant, thank you. And they were able to narrow it down from diacetyl because there's a factory in the Midwest where they make buttered popcorn. And so the diacetyl, from it being in a form where you could consume it in small amounts, where the FDA says it's okay, when it's airborne, it becomes like a vapor or in the air, and it's breathed in as opposed to being eaten. And when you breathe it in, obviously in this factory, it's all over the place, that a very high percentage of the workers came down with this illness, and that's why they call it popcorn lung disease, but it's caused by inhaling diacetyl. And one of the main ingredients in most e-cigarette liquids is diacetyl. So Harvard has, done a big study on this, and others as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blumenfeld.
Very informative.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Seeing none, I'll entertain.
Yeah, I just want, before you entertain the vote and whatnot, again, obviously, the evidence is overwhelming. This hearing has made it crystal clear. The administration, from the mayor and everyone in this administration, urges the Township Council to adopt both ordinances. There isn't a scintilla of reason that we should not act tonight and try to help our citizens and our residents and our young people avoid this tragic addiction health crisis. Anything we could do, however it impacts, means something. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you for taking what was a ceremonial policy to a policy with an educational component and an enforcement component. So as I've told you before, this is the reason why now I'm support of this initiative. I'm not big on ceremonial. Let's put some teeth into the policy, and I commend you for doing that. Karen, thank you for being here and for your passion on this issue. Karen is with a group called the Group Against Smoking Pollution, GASP, GASP. She's the executive director. And what's your website address? If we want to... NJGASP.org is the website. Colleagues? Councilman?
If I could, I did want to express myself before we vote, so I don't want to move to a vote before I have a chance to
Can you
comment
express
further.
yourself? We're going to vote.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
then I will. In doing my research, I came across an article that appeared in the Wall Street Journal earlier this month that I think is relevant to my decisions, and I just thought that my colleagues would like to hear this. It's an article written by Dr. Jed Rose, who is one of the world's leading researchers in smoking cessation. He's the director of the Duke Center for Smoking Cessation and a professor in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences at Duke University Medical Center. He is co-inventor of the nicotine skin patch and other treatments for smoking cessation. I'm just going to read you excerpts from the article. And the article is about e-cigarettes. As with any new potentially therapeutic approach, we must evaluate e-cigarettes based on the information currently available, while recognizing that an exhaustive analysis of all of the potential long-term effects will require many years of study. And the information we have now shows that electronic cigarettes can safely help people quit smoking. The U.S. Surgeon General and other experts have linked the vast majority of smoking-related disease to the combustion products of smoke, not to the nicotine that is present both in tobacco and in electronic cigarettes. Nicotine is a powerfully addictive substance, but it is not the cause of cancer, lung disease, or vascular disease seen in smokers. While quitting all nicotine-containing products may be an ideal goal, smokers who try to stop on their own have less than a 5% chance of long-term success, and only about 10% chance with the assistance of a medical provider. In this setting, the ability to switch from tobacco cigarettes to e-cigarettes that contain nicotine but do not burn offers enormous promise as a means to save lives. Researchers from highly credible organizations, among them the United Kingdom Center for Tobacco and Alcohol Studies and the University of Geneva's Institute of Social and Preventive Medicine, have concluded that e-cigarettes are helpful in reducing or eliminating tobacco use. And recently, the British government's Drug Regulatory Authority approved an e-cigarette as a quit smoking medicine. E-cigarettes can more effectively satisfy a smoker's craving by delivering nicotine as rapidly as a cigarette, while also satisfying the habitual aspects of smoking. Available evidence also overwhelmingly supports the view that e-cigarettes are reasonably safe and, most important, far less risky than cigarettes. So I'm not going to read the whole article, and I appreciate your patience with this. Just to start off, I salute Councilman Guarino for his concern about health and for his persistence in coming back to the council with improved legislation after an early ordinance was defeated, as you heard, in January.
Thank you, Councilman.
As I also mentioned, I started smoking in my early 20s. I never heard that you couldn't start smoking in your 20s, so I wish I'd have known that. But I did, and it took me nearly a decade to quit. So I know about nicotine addiction, and I've been smoke-free for a long time. As I've said at previous council meetings, I dislike cigarette smoking for any number of reasons. we could go on. And I would support laws that I believe would provide a net benefit to the community. But I don't believe these two ordinances are likely to do that. No matter how well you write the ordinances and how smart you are, if every community that borders your municipality does allow this, the effects are going to be negligible. And we'll be putting a law onto the books that is not enforceable. But I just want to make a few points. These are legal and regulated products. And just to point out, they have been banned for 19-year-olds in this state for a long time. And the law is not being enforced. As Councilwoman Castellino said, she sees kids, I guess high school age, hanging out in front of stores smoking. And we've had a law on our books, our ordinance, since the late 1990s that prohibits minors from smoking. And in fact, that ordinance was never updated to reflect that the smoking age was raised from 18 to 19. So we haven't, and also as you heard, we haven't enforced this either. And we could. We could. If we really felt so strongly enough about it, we could. And like I said, I would support something that was statewide so that it levels the playing field for everyone and doesn't subject anyone to an unfair competitive playing field. And I do not, I do take seriously the comments and the research I've done which talk about when you ban the cigarettes, you hurt the vendors who sell the cigarettes in the area. And I think anything that we can do to not hurt our local small businesses in West Orange, we should. The economy just is not robust enough to support this. I feel very strongly about the e-cigarettes because this would deny a less harmful alternative to consumers who would either smoke cigarettes or want to quit smoking cigarettes. E-cigarettes are widely recognized as less harmful and a strong alternative to cigarette smoking. Just getting back to $1,200 a year for an e-cigarette license, that would hurt me. If I had to pay $1,200 for a license and then be subject to fines of between $1,200 and $2,500, which is what the ordinance requires, and would allow the township to potentially take any other town licenses that they have from the town. You're talking about you could potentially, as a liquor store, lose your liquor license under this ordinance.
Anything else,
I've
Councilman?
gone and on, so, but
Yeah.
but that's
Thank
pretty
you,
much.
Councilman. Madam Clerk?
Okay, is there a motion?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I just want to say, the Township of West Orange has been at the forefront of anti-smoking policies for many, many years. And we've been ahead of the state in their regulations for many years, back from when we tried to urge our restaurants and taverns to go smoke-free before it was the law. And back in the early 2000, when we created the smoke-free kid zones in the parks, I think the county just did it this year. So we've been at the forefront to try to prevent smoking in the township, using good ordinances on behalf of our children. And the fact that an e-cigarette is less dangerous than smoking a cigarette doesn't help somebody who's being introduced to e-cigarettes at 19 and 20 to get hooked on nicotine. If somebody that's 30 or 40 wants to smoke an e-cigarette so that they don't smoke a cigarette, that's fine. Maybe that's better for them. What we're trying to do is to stop people at the age of 19 and 20 to becoming addicted to nicotine through smoking e-cigarettes and then going on to smoking cigarettes after that. We're not trying to outlaw e-cigarettes. We're only trying to regulate it so that people under 21 do not have access to them. There's also a study here that I have, that in 2012, they did a study of 27 European countries, and only 3.7% in all those countries used e-cigarettes as a cessation aid.
Thanks.
I don't think that's the main reason for their sale. Maybe people will use it for that, but I don't think anybody between 18, 19, and 20 is going to use e-cigarettes to stop smoking. I think all it's going to do is going to introduce them to nicotine and maybe smoke in the future.
Councilman Kukoviac? Any comments?
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with that. I've already said what needs to be said.
Okay, anyone else? Any comments?
I'm not going to argue, but I think we have enough statistics in front of us between the CDC, Center of Disease Control, the Institute of Medicine to vote.
Yeah, there's a gentleman at the gym, he wears, I see him in the mornings, he wears a shirt that says, "Rome was not built in one day." That's on his shirt. So hopefully, as we increase the number of municipalities that pass these ordinances, we can put pressure on the governor's office to pass what Councilman Kukoviac would support, which is a statewide initiative, and we don't hurt our small businesses. So hopefully today, we lay down another brick. So, Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 2481-16?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes. Madam Clerk, 2480-16, please.
Ordinance amending Chapter 12, Sections 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 13, 14, and 16, prohibition of tobacco sales to persons under the age of 21. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final
Motion
reading?
moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Kukoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes. Any member of the public wishes to address the council on ordinance 2480-16?
Again, you'll incorporate all the testimony we provided on 2481-16, Council President.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Karen Blumenthal.
Karen Blumenthal from gasp.org, njgasp.org. Thank you again for your
Thank
passion
you.
and for being here tonight.
Thank you. I want to also reiterate the testimony that I earlier provided, and just two more points with regards to e-cigarettes. There is no conclusive evidence that says that e-cigarettes help people quit smoking or that it is less unsafe than tobacco. In fact, what the evidence is showing is that people who use e-cigarettes who are trying to quit are becoming dual users, meaning that they're not only using e-cigarettes, but they're also using tobacco. And just like a little side note, that Dr. Judd Rose's shop down at Duke University was opened up by funding from Philip Morris, and for years afterwards was funded by Philip Morris. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. And there is decisive evidence that tobacco use causes heart disease and cancer. In New Jersey, we have around 70,000 deaths a year. And out of those 70,000, 35,000 deaths are caused by heart disease or cancer. So that's over 50%. So, any of my colleagues?
If I could, I just wanted to point out that Dr. Rose is considered one of the world's leading researchers on this area of smoking cessation. Not smoking, but smoking cessation. And he is a co-inventor and owns the patents on a great deal of the nicotine skin patches that are out there. This guy is publishing this and doing this research against his own benefit. Because if people use the e-cigarettes to stop smoking, and he says that they do it, they should and do, it's hurting him because he's losing.
It's toxic.
Anyway, just want to...
Councilman, I don't disagree with you. I actually have friends that are using e-cigarettes as a way of cutting back or from smoking, or as a tool to try to stop smoking. So I have personally witnessed that, so I don't disagree.
Excuse me, Council President?
Yes.
I don't have a question, but I do have a request from administration if we're able in 6 months from now to just get an update to see where we're at with enforcement. I feel comfortable.
Vigorously implementing it, but you need to vote on it second.
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to adopt 2480-16?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you, everybody, for a great job.
Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 2479-16, calendar year 2016, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes.
Okay.
Any member of the public wish to address the council on 2479-16? Seeing none, any of my colleagues have any questions on ordinance 2479-16?
Fully discussed last time.
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to adopt 2479-16?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Guarino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Cirillo?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
It was fully discussed.
That concludes our council meeting. Again, I want to encourage the public out there to keep June 4th on the calendar, Saturday, June 4th. Mark it down as a downtown street fair, Main Street, in front of Town Hall. We're going to be having Slide the City. We're going to have a lot of visitors out there.
Edison Day Street Fair.
And
Edison Day?
it's
Edison Day Street Fair.
Edison Day Street Fair, Saturday, June 4th. Thank you very much, West Orange. Have a great evening.
I'd like to wish all our residents who celebrate a very happy Passover this coming week. Enjoy and have a healthy and safe.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.